Good evening and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 317th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. I'm so excited to do this. This is going to be one of those fun shows where we kick back, relax, enjoy some nostalgia, enjoy some great cigars. There'll be barbs traded and jokes abound, and we'll be talking about some fantastic cigars from the days of yore, but not too far in the distant past. But before we get to formal introductions of our guests of honor, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate is at it once again by releasing the newest Vitola for the Herald Nica Rustica line. Yes, the Nica Rustica broadleaf is now available in a Gordo size 6x60. You can pick them up at your Drew Diplomat retailers today. One of our guests is extremely happy about it being available in this Vitola, and we're so excited that Drew Estate is now expanding the Herald line of Nica Rustica broadleaf in an additional size. You can check out that size or any of the other sizes of Nica Rustica at any Drew Diplomat retailer location. So check out your Drew Diplomat retailer location today and get your very own Nica Rustica Gordo. And welcome, everybody. This is our 317th take. We're so pleased that you've decided to join us tonight. If you are tuning into us, joining us live on Facebook like we do almost every Sunday night at 9:30 Central, or you're tuning in later via podcast, our audio broadcast is courtesy of Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review. Thanks to our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. You can also check us out later on our video recordings. All are on YouTube. Our YouTube and video broadcast is brought to you by Foundation Cigars. Nick Melillo is a well-known cigar maker in the premium cigar industry. He is the founder and owner of Foundation Cigars, which produces a range of high-quality, handcrafted cigars. Their qualities include their values include quality, consistency, balance, and flavor. Melillo began his career in the cigar industry at the age of 18, working in a cigar shop, the Calabash Shop, in his home state of Connecticut. He went on to work for a well-known cigar company, Drew Estate, where he developed some of the most popular blends. In 2015, he started Foundation Cigar Company to create unique and flavorful cigars that appeal from everyone from the novice to the most experienced smoker. So check out Foundation Cigar Company today, and they are our good friends that bring you our video broadcast every single Sunday. And welcome, everybody. As I said before, this is our 317th take. So without further ado, I'll welcome in our guests of honor tonight for our 317th takes. Our guests tonight are sponsored by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united. We have Mr. Will Cooper and Tripp Waldrop. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Bear. I was I was happy to do it. I was even more excited when you told us what we were doing, because you and I kind of have been through a trial of this before. So, and we'll explain to our guests a little later. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little fun, and it's a way to kind of bring Tripp back into the fold of the list season. It's been a few years since Tripp has published a top cigar list and everything. But Tripp, welcome back. This is once again another record-setting appearance for you on ELOSOFUMARTAKES. So I don't think anyone's ever going to catch you. I think at this point it's just
that's what I'm hoping for. Hoping to keep the streak going. Be just one of those lifetime champs.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
I thought about doing a list this year, but I didn't think critically about enough cigars. I felt like
I want you to do a list, because the list we're going to talk about today, I mentioned I really remember this list. I like this list for many reasons.
Yeah.
And so I was excited because I do remember this particular list the year it came out. Yeah.
I
can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was that was Coop's reaction when I was talking to him via text too. Tripp, was he like when he talked about this particular year? He's like, man, that list was so good that year. That was his first reaction to it. So like high praise from a guy who does 30 cigars each year in his list.
So we'll get into this. List was a little traumatic for me. Not that the cigars weren't good, but I had a little chaos with this list. And we'll get into that a little later. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about the theme here in just a second, guys. And just so everyone's kind of on board, we are going to be talking about the 2018 Cigar List season from our purview, from the three of our purview. So why did I choose 2018? Well, again, that was the last year that Tripp published a top list. He had a top 25 list as part of Cigar Federation. Coop, of course, had his top 30. I took his top 10, took Tripp's top 10, and then I obviously had, it was my second year doing a top 10 list. I think we'll have fun kind of revisiting some of these cigars. Some of these we might have a little pause to, and some of these don't exist anymore, which is kind of sad, which we'll go over in just a little bit. But I kind of wanted to get some thoughts, guys. I mean, this to me, I think it's funny. There's always a lot of criticism that goes around list season. When we look at other people's lists and we're like, God, man, like where did that cigar come from? Where's this and that? And I think that's part of the fun and stuff, everything. But overall, like, I love this part of the year. I love this time of year. I think it's incredibly fun. I love counting down with Coop. I love doing my own list. I love developing palettes, and our good friends over there. I think they have one of the more exciting shows when they do their reveal. I love the consensus. I love all of it. I just think and of course, it all starts with the Cigar Aficionado top 25. That kind of kicks everything off. The list that nobody cares about, as Coop likes to say, but everyone talks about. But I love it. I mean, overall, like, I know you guys, Coop, I know you love curating your list, but overall, like, do you guys enjoy this time of year? Do you think it's exhausting? Like, what are your thoughts?
I was going to let Coop go first.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of work for me to do now, because, now it's not just curating a list. It's publishing it on different mediums, which is audio, video, written, which has been very effective to do that. Those different channels, and I think you've kind of seen that now with your list. So it is work, but I've also made it a year-long process is the difference. So, I see people like scramble to get their lists together, and I was certainly in that mode. But once I turned it into a year-long process, the list was easy to curate. The hard part was distributing that list, publishing it. So, but I do enjoy it. Some of the lists you probably see in our chat, I just want to pull my hair out and like, what the? But I think that's also it's kind of part of the joy of it. It's kind of, it does entertain you. So, I do care about these lists. I want these lists to be flourished, and I want as many people do them as possible.
I do want to mention that Sam Fennell's actually smoked an Archetype Strange Passage, which was not on my list for 2018, but did make my list one year. So shout out to that one.
I had an Archetype too, but it wasn't that one. Damn, I can't remember. It was because Sam had the green. That was the green one.
That was the green and white one. Yeah.
That was I had the blue and white one, which I'm drawing a blank on the name right now.
The Strange Passage was epic.
They were good.
I still have a box of those. Yeah.
Those Archetypes were good cigars.
Yeah, they're fantastic. So speaking of cigars, we do have some business to take care of. Now, I did think about doing what you're doing, Coop, what you're doing, but I'll let you get to it in just a second. But I grabbed some cigars today, and in fact, I grabbed a box of something that I think will make us all sad. But Tripp, I was hoping you could do me the honors tonight. So I have 4 cigars to choose from. I have a cigar that made my list, which we'll go over here in a second, but the Crown Heads La Carême.
Great cigar.
I have there was a cigar that's eligible for a lot of your lists this year. Our good friends at Perdomo. I have the 30th anniversary Maduro Epicure. And I grabbed a just because it looked nice, it looked fantastic. I just grabbed a Rocky Patel gold label Toro. He's really upped his game in the label market. I'll just say that. Like, this cigar is looking
very true.
I agree. He's packaging, and I just smoked the Emerald, which has pretty cool packaging too. By the way,
yeah, the Emerald
similar. Yeah.
But the one that I wanted, and I knew the store had it, and I won't say the store because I was very sad about what I found, but excited at the same time. I went ahead and grabbed a Cinco de Cádiz from Hoy de Nicaragua.
Wow. I dug for one of those. I couldn't find one.
Well, I couldn't find that size.
Well,
either.
I will bring you one at PCA Trip because I found a box.
Wow.
But it was really sad at this establishment because this was in the discount bin.
Wait, Tripp, do you have the torpedo?
I have the torpedo, yes.
I have the torpedo as well, yeah.
Fantastic. Man, in
it
the
was
discount box, that
this
is
was in
really
the
sad.
this was in the discount bin,
That
and
should be
it was
illegal. That
it
should
was
that
so
was
I was like, and I look, I'm not going to
Oh,
say
right.
the retailer that I was at because I don't want them to catch any flack. It's not the retailer's fault.
it's the customer's
It's
fault,
the
right? Like,
customers, man. Like, like I walked by, I did a triple take. I went by the disc. I mean, it's right there. I went by the discount table and I looked and I did a double take and I literally did a triple take and I was like, holy shit. And I looked and I was like, is it that Diademus? It sure was fuck was. And I was like, how much is it discounted for? And I was like, holy crap. It was marked down and it was marked down again and it was an additional 30% off of the third markdown. And I was like, holy
wow.
crap. Yeah. So
It's funny because when I was pulling this out of the box, which I still have a box of this torpedo, it says 2018 consensus #1, which makes me a little happy because I was part of that.
yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
we're in
well,
talks with both of them.
that was a dominant cigar that year on the consensus too, from what I remember. It was another like
Oh yeah,
similar to Modelo's. Yeah, a lot of people had that. I had it at 11, so it played a role in the consensus.
Uh, uh, if Jay's happy to remind us that they do carry that cigar, but it is at full price. So
Jake's always selling.
we love you, Jay.
No, go to
Uh,
Jay. Go to Jay,
so
man. He's
well,
Jake's
what
gonna take good
they're
care.
obviously sold out at this other place. So yeah, go to Jay. Like so,
Yeah.
he's got them. So whatever, they're worth it. Anyway, Trip,
Right.
what am I smoking tonight? Rocky Patel Gold Label, Perdomo 30th Anniversary Maduro, Crown Heads La Creme, or Hoy de Nicaragua Cinco de Cadas.
I'm gonna go La Carême because I'm a sucker for that cigar.
Sounds good. All right, let's light her
All
up.
right. Wait.
All right.
So, Trip, what are you lighting up?
I am currently smoking. I'm finishing up an Atabay
Okay.
torpedo.
So, I'm gonna light up my Cinco then.
And this is going to be the last show that I get to feature the ST DuPont Fluo lighter with the
Are
beautiful
they requesting it
orange.
back?
We are going to send it back, and we're going to get some new product here in the next month or so. So
Fancy.
I'll be featuring a new lighter in a couple of weeks. So that'll be fun. But this lighter's sensational, guys. I use it exclusively for shows. That's what its purpose was for.
Right.
I filled it up once. I have never refilled it, and it lights every single time. Every single time.
Yep.
It's never had a misstrike.
So I have one in the green as well. And I'm using my Defi Extreme tonight. So
I'm using my Vector Thunderbird. It lights about 60% of the time,
Every time.
and the flame wanes and woes.
Man, I love this blend. This is sensational. So Coop and I
great blend.
discovered this. Coop and I discovered this. We did an aging experiment with this cigar, and the best thing to do with this cigar is buy a box of the Robustos and hold them for 6 months, and then that is peak.
yeah,
And
they
then
peak in
smoke
6
the
months. They're still good in a year, but the 6 month point was really good.
I feel like a lot of cigars in that vein are kind of at that same point where if you let it sit too long, it loses some of the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the #1 cigar for that for me is Liga Privada. Like Liga Privada, within 6 months, they're like incredible. And then after that, they're still great, but they lose a little bit of magic.
Not for me. Anything after 6 months, Liga Privadas die for me. It's just, I mean, they're
That
almost,
quick?
for me. They're a shell of their stellar self off the shelf.
Yeah.
Just are. And I can tell if not that they do sit on shelves too long, but if you ever go into a purveyor that, just doesn't have a big Drew Estate customer base for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and you find some sitting there and you grab a Liga and you smoke it, and you can tell that it's been sitting too long.
Yeah. It's crazy how like fast that particular cigar ages out of what makes it so good.
We did a box press. I'm sorry, we did an aging experiment on the Corojo Reserva in the box press torpedo, not the Robusto. That one got good in the 12 months period. So that one kind of came on really strong after 12 months. Remember that one? So we've had all three. We've had some smoke great in the first time, some smoke great in 6 months, and some smoke great in a year.
Yeah. I think that what's proven so far with our aging experiments, though, is that like while the initial smokes are good, the aged experiments seem to do better. at some
Most of
point.
them have. I think there was one where the first one did well, and I don't remember which cigar it was. But most times it's been the age. The 6 months has been mostly the one.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, let's go on. Let's go ahead and get into tonight's major point, which is brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars, compassionate cigars, honest, compassionate, great cigars. Um, from the fertile lands of Honduras, George Rico and his family have put together the very best vintages for you. Yep, that's you, the cigar smoker. From value-based hits like Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano has been about cultivating the best and making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, quality, premium, handcrafted Gran Habano cigars. Um, well, everybody, so again, so we kind of teased around it. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2018 top 10s. Now, I do a top 10 list every year. Coop does a top 30, and the last list that Tripp published was a top 25. So we're taking the top 10, but we do have a couple of overlaps, which we'll discuss. So we have some additional cigars thrown in the mix, and I'll tell you how that happened. So, Coop, if you would be so kind, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen, and
Absolutely.
we can go over this.
Right. Make sure we can all see. Can everyone see that? Okay. Let me see if it's framing well on the other.
It's up on me. So,
Yeah, it looks like it's up. Yep, we got a good view. Yeah.
so if we'll be so kind, I was gonna read mine. I'd like you guys to each and read your top 10s, and then I'll discuss the pool, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. So, there's no drum roll here, guys. My top 10 cigars that year were, and we're doing brands, not Vitola specific, which we happen to do.
Right.
So we just kind of made it a little simpler
Just makes it
tonight.
a little easier that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so my number one cigar of the year was the Ernesto, it was the EP Carrillo Encore. Number 2 was the Hoyda Nicaragua Silver. Number 3 was the HVC Cerro Maduro. Number 4 was the JRE Aladino Corojo Reserva, which we've been talking about. Number 5, the one cigar that I'm smoking right now, the Crowned Heads La Carême. 6, Crux Epicure. 7, Cornelius and Anthony Venganza. Number 8, Casa Cuevas Habano. 9, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sobra Mesa. Number 10, Avo South American Ritmo. Coop, what was your top 10 that year?
Yeah, so just one thing I want to mention on my top 10s, because it was an asterisk year, sort of, but I normally what I do is throughout the year, like I said, I kind of assemble a list and I put an order. And then what I do is when I look at the cigars that can make the top 30, there's usually about a pool of 30 to 40 cigars. I go through a resmoke. And I usually start that resmoke about 45 days before, I'm starting the list.
Right.
I had a problem this year.
Yes, you did.
I landed in the hospital in the middle of that whole I had to stop resmoking. I landed in the hospital. I had sepsis. So this list did not have every cigar resmoked. I do think the top 3 would have came out exactly the same, though. I do believe nothing was going to catch that, but the top 3 were not resmoked that year. But I think they were so far ahead it wouldn't have mattered. I think it would have came out in the same order, but that's the one year I didn't do that, and there was nothing I could do. It was either that or not do the list. But I had 3/4 of the cigars smoked already at that point. So, but let me read through my list. We're going from top to bottom. The JRE Aladino Corojo Reserva, number 1. Number 2, that is the Crux Epicure. That's the Connecticut shade one. They just called it Epicure back then. Number 3 was a limited edition cigar, the Vega Fina Añejo 7 años. Or let's just say 7 años. Number 4, Ramon Iones, the AJ Fernandez version of it. Number 5, the M. Bombay M. Cuba. That was the Ecuadorian Puro. Number 6, and I was surprised it went back this far, the Seis Provincias LHB. That was the first Seis Provincias. We all have to have our Steve Soccer selection on here, so I had the Mi Querida. It was the Gordito size, is what I'm saying on that one.
Yeah, of course it was.
8 was Debonair. That's the Connecticut shade, the Daybreak. Number 9, Davidoff Chef's Edition, the 2018 edition. And number 10, it was another limited. It was a La Gloria Cubana Colección Reserva. And that was a collaboration where Michael Giannini, who was still with STG and La Gloria at the time, teamed up with Ernesto Perez
Oh.
Carrillo to do they kind of got back together to do a blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't remember that one, but now that you mentioned that, I definitely remember.
God, it was
It-
stellar, man. God, it was a stellar cigar.
Oh, that was if Justin killed that cigar, he deserves a lot of grief because that was a great. But I actually think they ran out of tobacco or couldn't get the tobacco was the issue.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right,
All
and
right.
my number one was the Hoy de Nicaragua Cinco de Cades, which always sticks out in my mind because uh, when Dr. Cuenca I was interviewing him, I could not say de Cades. I kept flubbing it, and like he was
Right.
starting to get mad.
Yeah.
Number two, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Sin Compromiso. Number three, JRE Aladino Corojo Reserva. Number four, Mombacho Cosecha 2013, which was the first cosecha from Mombacho. Five was the Selected Tobacco Byron 21. Six is the Tatuaje 15th Anniversary Claro.
Yep.
Seven is Cornelius and Anthony the Gent. 8 is Aganorsa Leaf Signature Selection. 9 is HVC First Selection Broadleaf. And 10 is the Southern Draw Cedrus.
That broadleaf made my list the following year.
Yeah,
That
me
was
too.
a great.
That was a great
yeah.
start for HVC, I think.
Yeah. It was a great cigar.
Because that was one of the first HVC cigars I tried.
Yeah, that was I remember that. And in fact, I had it at the trade show with Bear that year. That was Bear's first trade show, and I had not read Rainier. He introduced me to Rainier, and Rainier gave me that cigar on the floor, and it was really good.
Oh,
And it ended up making my list the following year. Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah.
So I wanted is before we kind of got into all the fun and everything, guys, I wanted to ask some questions. So like as you guys were preparing for this and looking back at your list that year, like what are your overall impressions of the top 10? Like when you look back at it, like does it bring you back to some really good times? Does like what kind of feelings resonate with you as you kind of look back at the list that you created?
I have one that may be kind of controversial, but I would swap it out for something from either of your lists these days. To me, the way I've always done my top 25s, the couple that I've done, I think I did 3 so far. I'm gonna try to do one this year, I think. Spoilers. But I've always kind of gone with what would I smoke again? Like, what cigar do I keep going back to? I keep wanting more of. Because I've never reviewed enough cigars to have a top 25 with with scoring. But for me, the Sin Compromiso is one that I almost always pass up now for Mi Querida or Sobremesa.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't think that's a great cigar, but Mi Querida and Sobremesa just to me are, I think, better cigars.
You know, that's something that Coop you obviously wouldn't disagree with. I mean, it was the Paladin de Saka that really hit
I
your
was
palate, but the Sin kind
yeah.
of missed you.
The Sin completely missed me. What was interesting was I had seen Steve before that cigar got released. He did an event down in South Carolina, and he had given me a test blend of Sin Compromiso, and it had a much firmer box press. It was much more of a square press or it was actually much more of a trunk press. It was more rectangular, is the best way to put it. And I thought that cigar was great, and he ended up not releasing that one. He ended up releasing the one that went out, and I was so disappointed with that because, and I took a lot of grief. I gave it an 89. It's not a bad score, right? But I got blamed for losing. Like I got an email from someone saying you cost Saka the consensus that year.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, I
Jesus.
really did. I really did. Yeah. Like if you would have put that on your list, he would have won the consensus, right? So yeah, I do remember that. I remember Cinco de Cades. That was really the star of the show that year for a lot of people. Remember we went to that event, Bear and
Yeah.
Tripp. It was at it was in downtown Vegas.
Yeah, Dr.
Mhm.
Cuenca lit my cigar, man. It was fucking legendary.
Yeah, they did a really nice launch that night. That was and then we were up on that. Yeah, it was into it. That was the one that was into it. It wasn't the
Yeah, it was
rooftop
indoor.
one. Yeah. Now, as far as my list goes, like I said, I had a kind of weird memories, but it was an interesting twist I had on my list because in 2016, Crux and JRE finished 1 and 2. With Lanceros, it was the Connoisseur finished number 1, and the Elegante, the original Corojo, finished number 2. So they kind of flipped it this time. To me, that was a dominant number 1 cigar that year for me, JRE. Like I said, I don't think it would have fallen down on the re-smoke because I had smoked enough of them and I felt confident of that. And then I go back and I'm looking at this list, and I think Seis Provincias has been so overlooked. How good
Yes.
that series is.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not on more lists. It is a really, and that first one was really good.
It
So
really was.
yeah, I go back. I thought M Cuba, the Ecuadorian Puro, it was
Man.
innovative. I thought, and M Bombay kind of fell off the map after that, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So
Well, that's kind of been, I mentioned this on my top 10 show last week with George when I was like, I have a reputation of like where like something happens to the company or the cigar line or something like that I choose, on my top 10, like almost every year it's one year. And this was one of them. And this is an interesting point to bring up. So Cornelius and Anthony Venganza is my number 7. Um, both of you
Gone
guys
before
had
their
the,
time.
yeah, both of you guys had the gent in your perspective lists, not in your top
yeah,
10, but in your perspective list, the gent. And the gent was number 3 in the consensus that year. And then they're gone. Company's gone. Done.
Yeah, they just went poof.
I broke the story on that.
Mhm.
I'm very proud to say I broke the story on that because, and look, I don't really want to brag, but I'm going to brag on this one, right? I found an article in my local paper about the parent company getting sold. And I'm like, I printed it, and they were like, no one knew about this. Like, it was literally printed in my local paper. There wasn't even anything on the internet on it because it affected a bunch of stuff in North Carolina.
It may have been 6 months before anybody noticed if you hadn't printed that.
Well,
Like,
and
Yeah.
the other thing is
Cornelius
they didn't shut
and
it down
Anthony
right
was-
away. They didn't shut it down right away. Yeah.
well, they were never a company that was super in contact with the media. Courtney would answer questions and send out press releases and stuff, but they were never very proactive in talking to the media about stuff.
Right.
And
Well,
the company just kind of went into the ether.
Well, they had a
Right.
booth. They had a booth. It was just empty at PCA the following year.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
They had a
remember
booth.
that?
It was they had paid for it, so it's there. Now here's the fun part too about this is, so years later, I interview Alan Rubin right before it's the last interview right before Alec Bradley is sold.
Mhm.
I couldn't find it, Coop. I went back to look at this. Stephen Bailey, my interview with Stephen Bailey is the last interview he ever did.
I believe it. Yeah. I think you're right because we had Stephen Bailey on in March of 2018, so it was much earlier in the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah, it was so cool to kind of look back at this and stuff. I think some of these have aged pretty good for me. The silver is still something that hangs around my humidor quite a bit.
You were a big fan of the
Mhm.
silver. I know that.
Yeah. The Cerro Maduro, I think if I'm being completely honest, I smoke more stuff of his stuff at later releases. I don't revisit the Cerro Maduro as often as I'd like to, but every time I do, it's still really good. And the reason why Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sober Mesa is on here, years after its release, was that this was again, as my list criteria says, it's Vitola based. So the Elegante Cedros was released later, and the first time I had smoked it was like maybe a year and a half before this list was published. So it fit the criteria, and that's why it popped up on this list. But I've often said that to Steve that Sober Mesa, the original, which is now I don't even know what it's called now.
Solita.
Solita, excuse me, the
Yeah.
Sober Mesa Solita is still my favorite blend. But it
The
keeps
short
discontinuing.
Churchill is still my favorite cigar that he's ever made.
He discontinues as all my favorite sizes. Like he's cut back on Cervantes Fino, or I think he got rid of it.
Well, he moved it. He's moving it to red. Like he's got rid of the size, but the size is gonna be that new red blend that's coming out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
That was
hopefully
the one that made my
that's
list in
dynamite.
15 was the Cervantes Fino. That's the Corona Gorda size, pretty much. That was a great size.
Wow. I But yeah, I mean, I look at this, and I mean, with the exception of my number seven, I mean, I still revisit, I still revisit all these blends.
I don't,
The,
unfortunately, because some went away. Or some are hard to get now.
um, which one are you most sad that you don't smoke anymore, Coop, or you can't get a hold of as much anymore?
Oh,
What's the,
it's a tie, and I don't mean to be. It's the Seis Provincias LHB and the Colección Reserva.
yeah,
I think those are the two. The Añejados 7 Años, I miss it, but I always knew that was a one and done to begin
yeah,
with.
yeah.
I
Go ahead, Trip, please.
I think for me it's the Gent because
That was a great cigar, yeah.
I haven't smoked one of those in 5 years now, and I wish I could go back and buy boxes so that I would still have them now.
I think the Jet and the Venganza were the two best blends, actually.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed both of those. The Gen was in contention for the following year, but then fell off after the company went kaput, and it was kind of limited too, so I didn't know if it would fall within my criteria, and I could obviously never get confirmation on that.
It was
Um,
limited production. Yeah, but it's like Reserve, Corolla Reserve. Remember that we had the whole controversy with you with Corolla Reserve that year?
oh,
Because it was limited, but it was limited production, is what it turned out to be.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was able to confirm that before my list was published, so that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pulled the 2018 consensus by company. Okay. And I think there was a really interesting observation here. So, number one, Cinco de Caras. Number two, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trusting Compromiso. Southern Draw Cedrus. Four, Cornelius and Anthony the Gent. Five, Aganor Leaf Signature. Six, Villiger La Flor de Inclán. Great blend.
Great cigar.
Aaron Loomis put that one over the top because I think he had it number one that year.
Yeah. Number
Yeah.
seven, Warped Series Grand Reserva 1988. Trip, I know you liked that cigar.
Oh yeah.
That was on one of our pairing shows that we did way back in the day. Blind pairings. That was one of the cigars you sent me. Number eight, Crowned Heads Court Reserve, 18th. Number nine, Foundation Wiseman Maduro. Number 10, Mumbacho Concessia, 2013.
I had no
You know,
contributions to that consensus. If
I
you
was going to
listen.
say Trip
I had a
seems
lot.
more in tune with people than we, Coop. Like we're just
Typically,
we're
I don't
rogues.
have it. Yeah. I typically am a rogue on this.
I think our window also contributes to that too, Coop, for the most part.
We have, yeah, because we have different cycles when the cigars are eligible. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But also I think it's interesting though because I mean being a part of this or contributing to having a healthy contribution like Trip you did, I think it just shows that you're really in tune with what was really popular in the day too.
I guess so.
So oddly enough, I thought the Concessia 2014 from Mumbacho was the better one. The following
I
year.
thought the 12 was the best. Ironically,
Was the 12 the first one? I was trying to remember
Yeah,
if the
the
13
12
was
was
the
the
first one or not.
the 12 was the first one.
Then it might have been the 12 that I really liked. Yeah, I remember it was an even year. So it might have been the 12 that I liked. But the Liga Maestro from Mombacho, I still contend
Oh,
was
boy.
was one of the best cigars to ever age. Like I still have some of
Oh
those.
yeah.
And there I lit up one probably 8-9 months ago, and it was still phenomenal and just smoking exquisitely. So
Yeah. But I remember Trips. I keep talking back because the funny thing is, all those cigars on Trips list, I smoked every
Mhm.
one of them. Every one
Yeah.
of them. Like maybe Cedrus is the one I've least smoked, but all those other ones I bought quite a few of those.
That
I mean,
was a-
looking back on the list, I think it's
It's a very good list.
it's mine, but I think it's a pretty good list. Like
it is.
looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, those are all very great cigars.
I'm like, what the heck would I miss that year?
Was this the last year or the year before the last year of the Southern Draw dominance on list? Because it was like Southern Draw, um, and Dunbarton for a while.
They had one more. They had one more year with the Desert Rose and Brimstone,
Yes,
That's
Desert
right.
Rose.
and then that was
Brimstone.
then when the pandemic hit, they fell. But
Right.
the Desert Rose and Brimstone did very well on my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Desert Rose, phenomenal, phenomenal cigar.
Yeah, Desert Rose. Both of those cigars were really and then Cedrus was more of a polarizing cigar. It had
Yeah.
mixed reaction because the Indonesian wrapper will do that, and some people love it and some people don't, and it's just it's an acquired taste. There's nothing wrong with the cigar.
Yeah, I think that's unique is such an overused word. But it did have, and polarizing for sure as well. But I think it did just have something so different compared to a lot of other cigars. And when you
Yeah.
have that, you have people who are gonna like it and people who are gonna hate it.
Yep.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
So
I am kind of proud that my number one was on all the lists, though. I gotta say, I'm
I
smiling.
noticed that.
yeah,
I'm
I was gonna
smiling
say.
on that one. Yeah, that one.
And your number two was on mine. So I mean,
Yep.
you went 1-2.
Yep.
So um, all right. Well, any other questions before we start getting to draft, guys?
Not for me.
All right. Any other observations or impressions or anything?
Did you want to talk about the pool or not yet?
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna get into.
Okay.
So if you scroll down to the pool, so the pool is all of our cigars. Now, again, we have some overlap, as we mentioned, with the Corojo Reserva and the Crux Epicure appearing on 2 lists. So here's how there's 3 cigars at the top with asterisks: Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Todos los Dias, the Villager La Vencedora, and the Protocol Official Misconduct. So here's how this worked out, and why these specific cigars were chosen. So I went to Coop's list first. So his number 11 cigar that year was the Cinco de Cadiz. Couldn't choose that one, so I went to the next one, which was also on another list. So I went to the next one, which was the Villager La Vencedora. So that is why that cigar is on this on in our choices tonight. With the next overlap, I went to Tripp's list, and Tripp's number 11 cigar of that particular year was the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Todos los Dias. So I grabbed that one. And then our third and final overlap, I went back to Coop's list, which brought me to his number 15 cigar that year, or 14 cigar that year, which was the Protocol Cigar Official Misconduct. So they are a part of our pool. We can choose from them. We will all end up with 10 cigars that will make up our top 10 cigar redraft of 2018. I did a random drawing for picks and the order of our picking tonight. And our picks will be in order with Tripp going first. I will go second. Coop will go third. This is a snake draft, so that means Coop will have back-to-back picks concluding the first round and starting the second round. Tripp will have 2 picks concluding the second round and beginning the third round, and so on. I'm stuck in the middle. So
And we keep snaking the whole time, right?
we keep snaking the whole time.
Okay.
So I'm the only one that doesn't get back-to-back picks, right? Because I'm
Okay.
rattle.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
always going to be picking equidistant.
Yeah. All right. So, we're gonna go to number 5, and then we're gonna pause and do a couple of segments, and then we'll do our bottom 5, and then we'll have a discussion, and then talk about where this will actually be published. Because we'd love to get your all's feedback. So, for those of you in the chat tonight, have some fun with it. Tell us what you think of our picks live. Tell us what you guys would pick. We want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling too. So, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. The list is there on your left. Coop is kind enough to be sharing a screen, and he'll be bringing these over. So, Tripp, the floor is yours, my friend. What's number 1?
That's an easy pick for me. I gotta steal Corojo Reserva out from you guys.
Oh,
damn! I had a strategy too. Oh, you suck.
All right. Damn.
Yeah.
Didn't
But it's
see
the
that
best
co-
cigar.
Didn't see that coming,
Look,
man.
it's the best
Yeah.
cigar. I gotta say that.
Damn. Damn.
I think out of everything on these lists, I think the Corojo Reserve is the one I've smoked the most since 2018.
Look, I always have it, man. It's in fact, I'm getting low. I have to get some more. But yeah, I
I
always have
don't
it.
always have it because I typically buy like 5 or 6 when I go into a shop that has it, and I smoke them all in a week.
Yeah.
Because I like that cigar is like crack to me, man. I
Oh,
cannot stay away from it.
Here's the
You know,
fun part about this. Like, I was literally going to do that at number 2.
I thought I was gonna have a chance with it at 3 actually, and you'll know why. You know who else is a big fan of that Corojo Reserva Robusto is the guy from Cigar Authority, Mr. Jonathan.
And
When
he
I went
smokes
up
it every
there,
day, right? He smokes it every
yeah,
day,
and in
right?
fact, he goes, what cigar do you want out of the humidor? He goes, on me, and I said, this, and he's like, and then he tells me the story how he loved this cigar. In fact, he smokes it every day, and he thought it should have been cigar of the year. And he knew I had it as cigar of the year. Yeah, so
Well, that's a start of an upsetting. And
yep.
in fact, and speaking of upsets, for those of you tracking football, Commanders came back and beat the Buccaneers 23-20.
Good God, Dan Quinn is just he's worse than LaFleur, by the way. But we're not gonna go there.
But the Commanders won.
Dan Quinn blew the biggest lead in the Super Bowl history. That guy will catch up,
Okay.
but he's a terrible coach. We're gonna.
All right. Well, he won, and you get to criticize him for one more week. So I'm
Yeah,
safe.
yep,
I'm safe
yep.
until next year.
Yep.
All right. My pick is next. I'm gonna do a little strategy here. So well, since Tripp did it, I'm gonna go ahead and steal his. I'm gonna go Hoy de Nicaragua Siguricatas.
I was hoping you wouldn't do that, but I'll live.
Okay, so we gotta go. All right. So you guys made it really easy for me.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
All right, listen. You gotta remember we're gonna have a way to decide who is gonna win this list, right? And what better way to do that than have the guy who like everyone just falls over, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna pick the cigar I least like from him.
You're
Right?
gonna do
which is Sin Compromiso, right?
Nice. I was hoping you would pick this coup because I was like, wouldn't this be awesome if you picked Dunbar and Tobacco Trust and Compromiso to make your list, considering
All right, guys, we're going back in
it.
time. Coop's #1 pick of 2018. The Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sin Compromiso, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Right.
Steve's gonna be so fucking happy. It's gonna be great.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
gosh. Tag the shit out of him on this. This is gonna be great.
We'll fire up the time machine. He'll get #1 on consensus.
Yeah, now it's all changed right after. So, all right. Do I go with another Dumbarton? Is my question here, right?
I was wondering if you might do
I
that.
was gonna go back to back. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say no. All right. I'm gonna say no, and that will come out later. I'm gonna go Espinosa Let's Say Provincias.
Oh fuck. Dude, I thought that was gonna be around later. Shit.
Well, and you'll know where I'm going with this in a little bit, but yeah, again, I'm gonna go with that one.
Nice. Well, I am gonna go Dunbarton. I'm gonna take Mi Querida.
That was it. And I had the Gordito, just so you know, but
There are 4 Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust cigars on this in our pool. This is insane.
Well,
So,
yeah. It takes
the company that'll never appear in a Cigar Aficionado Top 25. Just want to point that out. There are 4 fucking cigars on this list.
Hey, love him or hate him, Steve makes good cigars, man.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've noticed.
People like his cigars.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tripp. You got 2 picks, buddy.
Well, I'm gonna follow suit and go with the Sober Mesa first.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of which one to take next, and I'm not sure.
It gets tough.
It gets tough after, yeah. That's the fun part, though.
All right, I'm just gonna do it. Todos los Dias.
See, I thought I'd have a shot at getting one of those. That's why I picked the Espinosa.
2 of those might help.
Yeah, I actually thought I could get one of them. I knew it was a little bit of a risk, but I knew I wasn't getting Espinosa coming back around. So
Okay. All right. Here we go. I got for my third pick. Uh, oh man. So yep, this is where it gets a lot of fun. Okay. Um, I think this is a reach, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna go Ramona Yones by AJ Fernandez.
good pick.
That was almost my pick instead of Toto's.
That cigar made a lot of lists and got a lot of fanfare during this time. Like it also made Cigar Aficionado's list. I think it's probably I think it's probably the best AJ Fernandez branded cigar, right? Like this was he got permission to use the name, but this is actually under the AJ Fernandez portfolio. Like he makes it, he distributes it. It's his cigar. As opposed to like some of the others like the Monte Cristo that he does and like the other cigars that he does for like STG and Altadis. So um and all the other brands that he does stuff for, including like Espinosa and a couple of other companies on this list. He makes the Crux Epicure Maduro too, um, as well. So I think, I think it's fun. Do you guys agree? Like, what do you guys think about that statement? Do you think that's like a terribly hot take?
No, I
No,
don't.
no, I don't. You know, the Ramon Iones reminds me a lot of the H. Upman 175 too.
Oh, Steve Saka's in the house. Yes, Steve. We
Yes,
are
Steve.
redrafting.
2018 redraft.
We are redrafting the 2018 top
Yeah,
10 top 10 cigars for each of our lists. So yes, Steve. Coop picked the Sin Compromiso as his number one cigar of 2018.
well, for
I've been
Paladin, I
I've been
definitely.
dreaming of this moment, Steve, and I hope you have too. This is great. So,
Uh,
oh man,
well,
this
I
is
want
a
to
great
win. I want to
this is a
win.
great moment for me.
I want to win. This is for the people. I'm doing this for.
This is for the people.
But I thought I was gonna get Todos Los Diaz. I was kind of like thinking I was gonna get Todos Los Diaz.
Oh shit. I'm doing this for the people. That's great. All right, Coop, you're back to back.
All right, I know my first one. The second one's gonna be tough. It's easy. This is Crown Heads Karem going.
Oh,
So
nice. Oh, damn.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that one's not
Thought,
gonna be
I thought
around.
I thought I had a shot. I thought I had a shot with my fourth one there.
Uh, this one's tougher.
Oh.
This one's tougher. You know what? Sorry, Bear. I'm gonna go Hoya Silver.
Okay, that's cool.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I got a Hoya on my list, so I'm good.
yeah, yeah. It's a good cigar. I thought Silver was of all those really the best of the releases too. Of those, yeah.
Between the black, red.
And yeah,
hmm
the Silver was my favorite. Yeah,
I I think the black was I think the red was just really underwhelming. I think the black was really misunderstood. I think the black was really misunderstood because when you
it,
think of something black, it's like dark and dank and like robust and like spicy and like full. It wasn't that. It just
no,
wasn't.
I agree with that assessment on both of those.
So I don't know what they were going for with red. Like I don't know what the like hey, what's this? What are they trying to accomplish? What are they going for?
Yeah,
Like the black, I think again, I don't know what they were going for necessarily, but like I think it missed on the marketing side. Like
yeah,
I think it's a the Nocturna I think is a
yeah,
fantastic Vitola. Uh I think it's a really fabulous blend. I think it just missed in terms of like the interpretation of what it was supposed to be, like or what it
I
appears to be.
they're all three excellent cigars too. By the way.
Indeed. All right,
Yep.
I'm up, right? Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with my number one cigar of the year that year. I'm gonna go with the EP Carrillo Encore.
That was between that and the silver for me. And again, I kind of just went with the people I think want here. So Tripp's up with 2 picks now.
Two
God,
picks.
I'm gonna lose.
This is already getting difficult.
Yeah.
Also,
There was a drop. I don't want to say it was a drop, but there's much more competition, is what I'll say with these.
this is the first draft I've ever been involved in, I'll have you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
you don't do
bro,
fantasy.
I was gonna say I'm really proud of you, Tripp. I'm really proud of you. You don't do
Yeah.
sports, so this is a great victory for me 2 times over. I'm getting you to do
Yeah.
something sports related, and Coop picks and confirmation was his number one cigar. So I don't care if I lose this contest. I already won. So
I feel good with my rosters. I mean, they're all tight right now. I think we're all pretty tight. It's going to be how we draft these later ones.
Yeah. I'm gonna start off with Byron 21.
Oh,
nice.
Because that's a great
Nice.
cigar. And if we're putting this up to a vote for the people, I'm going with Agenor Salif's signature selection.
There you go.
well, if Eric from Dojo,
Yeah, I was gonna say if any of the dojo
If
community
Eric
involved-
or Terrence
would-
even think about this show,
yeah,
I'm gonna win.
right. If Eric's
They
like
don't have to post about it. All they have to do is think,
That-
and people will go crazy.
that made a list for me as well. I think the year after it made the list. The signature is an excellent cigar. The original Corojo signature. That's an excellent cigar.
So Coop, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick obviously, and then
And then I'm gonna have one pick.
You're gonna pick one, and then we're gonna take a break here.
I actually like that. I get the
So you get a little bit of a reprieve
I get a little
here,
time.
so-
Yeah.
All right, so God, that was a good pick. God, both of you guys did Byron off the board. Damn it, knew I should have gone with them. Okay.
That Byron 21 is good too. That's the one
Yeah.
with the script. That's the one that has the script on it. That's a good cigar.
Yeah.
That's a good cigar.
It was silver wrapped, kind of reminiscent of Luzione. The foil wrap. So all right, for the people. We're doing it. Tatuaje 15th anniversary Claro.
All right.
That was gonna be my next pick.
All right. I hate picking stuff from my own list, and I really don't want to. But this is a very good cigar. I'm picking the Chef's Edition.
Yeah, good call, man.
It's a good call. It's a good. I hate picking stuff from my own list, but I picked one already. So it's a strong. I mean, it's one. I think if that cigar got re-released again, people would flock to it.
Florida Selection 2018 was stellar.
Freaking Tripp's got a friggin' look at that lineup of those.
Yeah.
Look at that
Once
lineup.
again, Tripp knows what he's doing, man.
He took that friggin' Corojo Reserva from me. I mean,
God, that's epic.
so I got.
Somehow I'm doing okay.
Well, we'll talk about the breakdown after. I'll tell about what my strategy was
All right.
beforehand, but we'll say that for the end. Yeah.
All right, so let's read them off real quick, and then we'll pull down the screen share. Coop will bring it back up here in a second.
Yep.
When we go back from some segments, but so far, Tripp is really taking advantage of his first pick. Steals Corojo Reserva from both of us. It was the only cigar on all 3 lists. Steals it for his number 1 cigar. Comes back and picks 2 back-to-back Dunbarton Tobacco and Trusts. There are 4 total available from all of us. He picks Todos Mesa and Todos Los Dias. Then comes back with Selected Tobacco Byron 21, and then Agenor Salif signature selection. Coop, with his third pick, comes with the 3rd overall pick. And since we're snaking, he has back-to-back picks in this. He has back-to-back picks to start the second round. He kicks things off with none other Then the Sin Compromiso. Yes, the number one cigar for Coop of 2018
It's what the
was the
people
Sin
want.
Compromiso. It's
This
what
is
the
what the
people.
people demanded this from me.
Sin
It's a good.
Compromiso.
It's not. It's a good. It's just like I said. I like Silver Mesa Micarita better. That's all.
Yeah. And the Paladin Osaka, man, was number two.
Well, Paladin Osaka is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a few of those, by the way. I just acquired a few of those.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that ages unbelievably well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I put them away and they. Yeah. Fantastic.
All right, so you picked in your back-to-back. You went Espinosa Las Ses Provincias LHP. That was the first of the series.
Yep.
Then you came back and stole La Carême, Crowned Heads from me.
Yep.
Hoy de Nicaragua Silver from me.
Yep.
And then you picked from your own list again the Davidoff Chef's Edition, 2018.
Yeah.
I am the meat of this sandwich. I do not have back-to-back picks in any round, so I had the second overall pick. I went with the Cinco de Caudas, number one. I took the next Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust off the board. So no more Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust on the board, unfortunately. All four are gone already. The Mi Querida is my number two cigar. Number three is Ramona Jonas by AJ Fernandez. Number four is EP Carrillo Encore. And number five is the Tatuaje 15th Anniversary Claro. So those are our top five picks. Go ahead and you can stop sharing the screen, Coop, and we'll come back to draft the bottom half of our top 10, where it gets really interesting in just a few moments. But we do have to kick things off of our fun segments with none other than, of course, our United Cigar Presidential Trivia segment. Yes, it is. Our next segment is brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana and distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, the Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey Byron that Tripp just picked, and of course the new Alfonso line from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Since we're doing lists, guys, I know there's a lot of top lists when it comes to presidents out there. I grabbed a recent one. I grabbed a 2022 presidential rankings according to CBS News. This was an editorial written in September of 2022, so that's a little bit important. So
Right.
September of 2022. So barely a little more than 2 years old, and it listed the who of these choices was listed as the worst U.S. president in history. The worst president in U.S. history. Was it A, Joe Biden, B, Jimmy Carter, C, Warren G. Harding, D, William Henry Harrison, or E, Andrew Jackson?
What was the publication?
CBS News.
Okay.
And it was 2022.
Yeah, I tried to grab something a little bit more neutral. I didn't want to grab a Fox News or a CNN. Those would have been a little bit of leaning.
Yeah.
So I tried to grab something that was in the middle. And overall,
I will say, going back, before say Clinton, I know exponentially less about each president.
that's fair.
This is a very interesting one. Your choices are interesting, and I know we're going to talk about that because I know why you picked certain choices and I don't know which one it is.
Can I get the choices again?
A, Joe Biden, who's the current president and was the current president when this was published.
Yes.
B, Jimmy Carter. C, Warren G. Harding. D, William Henry Harrison. E, Andrew Jackson. I'll throw some editorial comment. One, again, Joe Biden, who's just gotten into his presidency at this point. He was about halfway through. Jimmy Carter, who's widely praised for his post-presidential career, but very much criticized for his presidential career. Warren G. Harding, the Potsdam scandal, really messed with his entire presidency. William Henry Harrison was president for only 32 days.
The Whig Party jinx we talked about. Remember that?
Yeah, the Whig Party jinx. And Andrew Jackson, who has so many colorful stories about him, including my favorite. I tell it every time Andrew Jackson gets mentioned in the segment. This beating off a would-be assassin nearly to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had to pull him off. That was great. That was still one of my top 10 stories of presidential trivia. It's fantastic.
I'm gonna go with Harding. I have no idea if I'm right, but I have a good feeling.
So normal. I've maybe not as much as Bear, but I have looked a lot of lists over the years of effectiveness of presidents, and Harding typically is at the bottom. However, it's usually someone more from a historical standpoint that is doing that, like ranking. And this is a poll that CBS did. So for me,
Oh
it's
wait.
between.
Oh shoot, guys. There's one wrong one in here.
Uh-oh.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So we'll give Tripp a chance to redo it.
Okay.
We'll give Tripp a chance to give
Is
his answer.
Harding not supposed to be in there?
Harding's not supposed to be in there.
Okay.
Or actually Jackson's not supposed to be in there. Shoot.
Oh, okay.
No. Okay.
Jackson
Well, I
isn't
just
who I was
spoiled
going to
this.
pick.
I
Anyway.
had two questions anyway, so I fucked up my own segment. That's totally fine. So Jackson's not supposed to be in here actually.
Who's the fifth then?
The fifth choice is Andrew Johnson.
Okay. Does that change your answer, Tripp?
No, I'll still go with Harding.
Okay. It doesn't change mine either, because again, you have to know a little more of the history, and I think when these surveys are done. So for me, it's between Biden and Jimmy Carter here, and I know I'm gonna go Jimmy Carter here. I'm gonna go Jimmy Carter here because I still think people. I mean, even when he died, people were saying he was a terrible president, but a good guy afterwards, right? So I'm gonna go Jimmy Carter here.
Believe it or not, it's the answer that I gave you guys here today, and I totally fucked this up, and I'm sorry. It's Andrew Johnson.
I wouldn't have guessed it. Oh, no,
I was
I
going to
wouldn't-
say the chat it seems to be very behind Andrew Johnson.
Because yeah, and he was almost impeached, if you remember too. He came or removed, right? He was impeached, but almost removed.
Became the first president ever to face impeachment, but was acquitted by one vote. And this is great trivia from my dad's home state. It was the representative from Maine that cleared the guy.
Bear,
So-
can I ask a question here? And if it's off topic, let me know. Who was
Sure.
number one? Or can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess. Go ahead and guess.
Was it Lyndon Johnson?
No, but I was surprised how high he was. No, it was Frank.
It was Franklin. No, he's
Yeah, it was-
normally very high on these historical rankings, and they base it on the effectiveness he did in terms of legislation. A lot of times, that's why people may not think he's number one.
Yeah.
It's
legislative. So FDR was number one,
that would have been my other guess.
Oh God, I get asked this question a lot, like from like who's my favorite president? Like subjectively, it's Abraham Lincoln. Objectively, it's really hard for me to go between Lincoln and Roosevelt. Like that's and throw in Teddy in there. It's like a 1A, 1B, 1C kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me. I take Teddy out of it, even though he's like my second favorite, like subjectively, but objectively, like Roosevelt and what he was able to accomplish. Again, he had more time than anyone to do it. That's also a point of precedent that you have to mention. So yeah, number one was this. So okay, so the next question, because we are going to talk about more top 10 presidents here in a second, because I think this list is very interesting. But before we go away from this list, I think it's comical that there are presidents that in the editorial, the columnist's viewpoint were so fucking bad that a guy who was president for 32 days was not, that he was better than. So William Henry Harrison.
Like I said, I know exponentially less about each president going back in history. Is he the one that died of a cold?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got the cold at his inauguration, apparently.
Yeah.
And it turned into like pneumonia or something like that.
Exactly. He's number 40 on this list. He's number 40.
Because people don't know him. That's why.
I know, but it's hilarious because he was president for 32 days. But his 32 days were better than Franklin Pierce, Warren G. Harding, Donald Trump, James Buchanan, and Andrew Johnson, according to this columnist.
Wow.
You got to remember too the timing with the Trump one. Though, if that was 2 years later, it would have been high. He would have been higher. But yeah, he wouldn't have been at number one. But I'm just saying it. It was right after January 6th. Still.
Right. I think it's going to be interesting. Like you and I've talked about this, Coop. Like historically, like in 50 years, like, our grandchildren or our great grandchildren, how they look at the the Trump
Era.
presidencies now,
Yeah.
the Trump
Yeah.
era, like from a historical perspective. Like it'll be interesting to hear my grandchildren or great grandchildren talk about him
Right?
just
Yeah.
from a historical perspective. Like I'll be like,
Well,
you were there, Grandpa. What do you like? What
Eh,
do you remember? Like
I mean,
so.
I have seen two presidents. I obviously I met Trump. I think people know I shook his hand, and I saw Ford. So that was the other one. Those are the two I've seen. Ford was campaigning in my neighborhood. So
Oh, this is a great trivia bit by Oliver Nouveau is hanging out with us now. Franklin Pierce took credit for the perforated stamp. That's true. The U.S. stamp. Great stuff. No doubt you probably picked that up from
that would be a cool
probably.
United cigar. Franklin Pierce one with a stamp band on it. You
Well,
know?
that's where his son goes. Is Franklin Pierce
Oh,
University.
okay,
So
okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
so like
yeah,
that's pretty
yeah,
cool. So no doubt he probably got that on a school tour or something. But
yeah, yeah.
that's a great bit of.
Oliver, I owe you a message, by the way, and I will get back to you on something. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. So here's my next question. So I've brought a lot more true or false into this, and I think it's a lot of fun too. So this is same list we're talking about. True or false? Again, published in 2022, CBS News. True or false? Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan are not in the top 10. Neither one is in the top 10. True
True,
or false?
true.
I'm gonna say false, I think. But it's hard because they're on either side of a line,
They were
right?
polarizing presidents. That's why.
True.
I did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. I picked two. I picked a Democrat and a Republican.
I'm
Popular
gonna
Yeah.
go
choice.
true just so I'm, or false just so I'm not with Coop.
Yeah.
Okay. It is true. Neither one was in the top 10. So
Wow.
they have this is gonna really bend. This is really gonna break Coop. They have Ronald Reagan at number 18.
Well, and again, Reagan was the one. I have two presidents who are my favorite. I don't know if you want me to disclose it, but Ulysses S. Grant was the one, and then Reagan was the one. Again, I was the kid at the end of the Cold War and stuff like that. So it was like, yeah, um, yeah. But Reagan was polarizing. I mean, I remember going to Rutgers University, and you go into the bathroom stalls, and they write like Ronald Reagan. They write 666 because he had six letters in each of his. There was like a lot of anti-Reagan stuff on campus.
Oh, that's
I
crazy.
remember. Yeah. So I'm not. That's why I kind of went with the true on that one.
So Barack Obama finished just outside the top 10 at number 11 on this list.
I was
Interesting.
thinking one of those has to be high, but I guess not.
So this is like the top five for me, like kind of like okay, that figures, but
Yeah.
number six
Yeah.
really surprised me on this list. So we already talked about number one. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the number one on this list. Abraham Lincoln pops at number two. George Washington number three.
Right.
Teddy number four. That makes Steve Saka really happy. That's his guy,
Yeah.
And my second guy. So there we go. Teddy at number four. Jefferson at number five. Guy I'm pretty high on as well. Penned the most prolific document in American history. And here's number six. Any guesses?
Johnson.
I have no
wasn't-
idea.
It wasn't Johnson.
Johnson's in the top 10. He's number eight. But he
Okay,
wasn't
it's got to
number
be
six.
Kennedy. Kennedy.
He actually finished before Kennedy on this list. Surprisingly.
Okay, interesting.
Tripp, any guesses?
I have another one of the
Bill
trip.
Clinton. He's the only one I can think of, but I can't imagine he's that high.
Clinton finished surprisingly higher than I thought too, but he did do
Um,
some stuff legislatively that I thought was interesting.
I'm gonna go Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson is appallingly low on this list, and I have some opinions
Really?
about that. So, no, it was Dwight D. Eisenhower.
That would have been my next guess. Okay, yeah, that would have been a good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Dwight D.
And I
Eisenhower
can
was
understand why Wilson's lower too. I understand some of the stuff why Wilson's lower.
Truman's number seven. Johnson, Lyndon Johnson is number eight. JFK is number nine. To round out the top 10, you have James Madison. Solid pick.
That's some ice cream. The Dolly Madison ice cream played into that.
James Madison is my number four for anyone keeping score. Barack Obama, number 11. James Monroe, number 12. Really underrated president. I'm glad he popped in the top 15 at least.
Very underrated president in terms of what he did.
Woodrow Wilson, 13. Ugh, this kills me. Like objectively speaking, like this just kills me. Like championed us through World War I, forms the League of Nations. Yes, I understand the United States didn't join it. That's because of that's for political reasons. But what he did for the world, like holy crap! Come on, guys. Bill Clinton, number 14.
Wow.
People
James
like
K.
Bill. People like Bill Clinton.
Yeah, James K. Polk. This one surprised me at 15. I thought he'd be in the 20s.
Oh, that's North Carolina's own here, by the way. So he's a big we have Polksville it's...
All right, John Adams, the second president of the United States, popping in at number 16.
That surprises me.
Yeah, that was pretty low too. His son, number 17, John Quincy Adams.
I thought his son would have been higher than the father.
Yeah, Reagan at 18, Biden at 19.
See, but Biden came in on some coattail. Here's the thing, I'll say this. Biden's a likable guy. I'm telling you, I know people have met Biden when he was a senator on the train and stuff like that. And I remember Jeff Borchowitz even met him and said the guy, I think he had positive things to say. Yeah, he's a likable guy.
Amtrak Joe. Well, at this point, so this is 2022. So this is before, this was before the ageism jokes really were cranked up.
And the inflation and stuff didn't hit later.
Yeah. The economical stuff didn't really hit until after.
That's why I went Carter when I guessed it. That's why I guessed Carter.
So George Herbert Walker Bush, the first one, the first George Bush at number 20. Your boy Ulysses S. Grant at 21. Coop
should have been higher, but okay, he's a cigar guy. He should be number 1 on the cigar list.
There you go. 22, William McKinley. 23. This one will blow your fucking mind. Andrew Jackson.
Peter Gammons.
Wow.
Is smack dab in the middle of this list. I was like,
yeah. So Peter Gammons, just so people don't know, he was a baseball reporter and he had the white hair and he looked like friggin' Andrew Jackson.
So this is the little blurb that was written by him. Jackson was a risk-taker president who was very good at drawing crowds and well-liked by much of the public. A polarizing figure, minor understatement of this entire column. Jackson waged a political battle against the Second Bank of the United States, a private company which operated as virtually a government-sponsored monopoly. He also pushed for the forcible removal of Native Americans. Yeah, okay. Resulting in thousands of deaths.
All right.
I guess he would have been higher if that hadn't happened. Yep. The American electorate handed him a huge victory on his second term. Number 24, Jimmy Carter. 25.
That's high. That's high.
Yeah.
That is high. I didn't think it would be that high, but it's probably the post-presidency.
Yep. 25, William Howard Taft.
That surprises me too.
26, the only other president other than our current president-elect Donald Trump to have split terms, Grover Cleveland. James Garfield, 27. Richard Nixon, 28.
About where I think Nixon would land. Nixon has people who liked him though.
Yeah. Well, and there were like a lot of like everything, right? Like one negative trumps 1,000 positives, and that was like that might as well be the epitaph for Richard Nixon, right?
See, I think that's what Trump he'll push up into that area eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Nixon, of course, known for getting us out of Vietnam. Like that was the big thing. Relationship with China.
Can I tell a little story with that real quick? So sure. I remember when Nixon was getting, about to get, resign. And I kept saying, like, I was so happy that Nixon ended the war because I remember the end of the Vietnam War. I'm like, why are they doing this to Richard Nixon? He ended the war. That was a big fear. This war. Maybe I'd have to go to this war. It was going on forever. So I was like, I was younger, but I kind of like was sympathetic to the guy. I didn't know about Watergate back then, but yeah.
It's one of these things like when you look at when you think about their mark on history and then like where they pop on this list.
Yeah.
29 Martin Van Buren, 30 Gerald Ford, 31 Rutherford B. Hayes, Calvin Coolidge at number 32. You should be lower. 33 Chester Arthur, 34 Benjamin Harrison. Harrison should be above Coolidge. George W. Bush, 35.
People, he'll go higher, but there was a lot of negative in the last 3 years of his
Oh yeah.
President.
Yeah.
You know, Katrina. I said Katrina really was the down. I think Katrina was the downfall, and then the economy went.
Yeah,
But you know,
more so than the
yeah,
Iraq War and things like that.
yeah,
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 Katrina was a really big
yeah,
sour point.
yeah,
Much like Helene, I think will be kind of how history repeats itself. Helene will be on Biden's
yeah. But
reputation.
not. But his the response with Katrina was, and we were talking about like leaders and we were talking about the mayor of Los Angeles, like we were in our house. We were talking about that, you know. And when you're a leader and you go away, when you are not on top of a natural disaster, it will burn you, and she'll never recover from that.
Yeah.
So I mean, she was in Africa, you know, you just won't recover. She should have just went there, put the jacket on right away, is what I say, and pretend you're like on top of it, you know. Then you won't get in trouble.
36 Zachary Taylor, 37 Herbert Hoover, 38 Millard Fillmore, 39 John Tyler, still has a living grandson, great stat.
Yes.
40 William Henry Harrison, 41 Franklin Pierce, as I mentioned, 42 Harding, 43 Trump, 44 Buchanan, and coming in at number 45, the lowest ranked president, according to historians, according to this columnist written in 2022 from CBS News, Mr. Andrew Johnson. So that was our presidential trivia segment this week. I thought it was a lot of fun. We are talking about rankings, so I thought it was cool to bring that list out. And of course, our United Trivia segment is always brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana and distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, the Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. So, speaking of Los Angeles, I did want to point everybody to we did a show after speaking of Helene, after Helene, Hurricane Helene, and that one hit a lot closer to our hearts as you know Ben Lee was in the thick of that, obviously our good
Yeah.
partner in the Cigar Coop Coalition. But I thought it would be remiss to not bring another couple of a couple of charities to your choice. So you can actually check out NBC News has actually vetted some wonderful charities. You can Google this. I picked one off their list because it's been featured in this segment before. World Central Kitchen does amazing work around the world for world hunger and disaster relief. They mobilize food to those in need just incredibly well. Bradley Rubin is actually the one who pointed me towards them. He was the guest that originally brought World Central Kitchen to our charity segment, and I wanted to revive them because they're doing incredible work in Los Angeles. The article that I posted, and this will be in the show notes later. But the article I posted in the chat actually has a news story featuring them. But you can actually go back in that story. There's a link to a bunch of charities that have all been vetted by NBC News. It's really important to also vet your charities, guys, particularly around disasters. There's a lot of scams out there, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
I know in North Carolina I had my wife really do some vetting with those, the one we did, yeah.
yeah, Operation Airdrop, great organization. I looked to
Yeah.
see if they were doing anything. They haven't done it. They haven't posted anything yet, so I didn't want to just throw them out there.
They may be an Eastern thing, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, they're based in Texas. Operation
Oh,
Airdrop's based in
okay,
Texas.
okay. I didn't even realize that. Okay.
But World Central Kitchen is doing a lot of great work on the West Coast right now, and we'll obviously continue to do so. So check them out if you feel so called. Feel free to donate. Every little bit helps. There are a lot of folks, a lot of communities just completely shattered by this, and you know, I know there's always a lot of jokes about California and stuff like that and everything, but this is absolutely just awful. And our good friend Aaron Loomis, thankfully. Um, Not close to the wildfires this time, but he has
He's
been on the brink of
he
disaster a few times.
Yeah, if you
So,
remember, our friend Brian Chinook actually lost his house, I believe, in one of those fires.
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, and we did a Pete on the show Thursday night, and Pete gave a lot of perspective what was going on in LA, by the way. And before you kind of say it's not all celebrities who are getting hit by this, by the way. There's a lot of people who aren't celebrities that really, really suffered in these fires. So, and I love it. LA is one of my favorite cities to go to, by the way. There's so much good in LA. I know there's negative, but there's good in LA too.
Yeah, I have some friends of mine from college that actually
Yeah,
live in the greater Los Angeles area,
yeah,
and a lot of them are safe. I haven't gotten an update. I have one particular friend who took a picture from his house, and you could see the hue of the fire
yeah.
behind his home. They're praying for some wind changes and everything, and I'm hoping he's evacuated, but I hope that he still has a home to go back to, and wish
Yeah.
him and his neighbors
I,
all the best.
I have smoked cigars in that area of Pacific Palisades and Malibu on the Pacific Coast Highway, by the way. So it's one of my favorite. It probably I didn't have it as a bucket list item, but I did when I already had smoked there when I started the bucket list. But I loved having cigars along that Pacific Coast Highway. It was really, really something because it's so beautiful and tranquil there, actually. So it really is sad to see that.
It is gorgeous and serene. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
So we wish the people of California all the best. And if you want to do a little bit, check out the World Central Kitchen or any organization that I went through all the lists, but I picked this organization out of the embassy vetted list. Just thought it was a good place to start. But you can do your own vetting and pitch in where you like. So every little bit helps, guys, always. So when those indeed need it, I always find an opportunity to give and pay it forward. So. But let's go ahead and get back to the fun. Let's get back to the redraft. Coop, if you want to go ahead and bring up the list, we have selected 5 cigars from the 30 cigars that we started with, and each of us will make up a top 10. So Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust dominated all 3 of our lists with 4 selections available. All 4 are off the board.
yep.
One observation that I thought was interesting, considering how well they've performed in lists, for the last, I don't know, 15 years or so, Drew Estate is completely absent from all 3 of our lists.
I also noticed that and was thinking about it.
But that was a year they had okay, and I can tell you why they're absent
This is right
because
before the Undercrown 10, right? This is the Acid 20 was this
no,
year.
but
That was the year.
2018 was the 10 anniversario in the H99, which didn't get released
Which
that
never
year.
came out. Yeah.
Those were the 2 big releases, so they never came out that year. And the third one was really that Hoya Cinco de Cadas was like the third, and that, Georgia State was really promoting that. So that was why it didn't make it.
Yeah. Those cigars still made a couple of lists, but not enough to really gain notoriety and steam on the consensus or
Yep.
anything. So, which I just know brings Coop a lot of joy when cigars aren't released and make it on top 10 lists. So,
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah.
Steve's
all right.
listening. He knows that.
All right. So, Coop, you are in the middle of your pick. So, let's kick off the bottom half of the top 10 with your 6th pick. You've had a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah.
What are you going with?
I wasn't gonna do this, right? but
You're
but
picking another one of your cigars, aren't you?
no, I'm not picking one of my cigars. I'm picking another one of yours. I wasn't gonna pick a discontinued cigar, but I think this one was so it resonated with a lot of people. It's a cult favorite. I think if it came back, it would be a huge hit. And I'm going with the Venganza.
Okay. First, Cornelius and Anthony's off the board now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't waste an earlier pick on it, certainly, but now we're kind of getting into you got to really be strategic here how we're thinking with these, because these bottom ones could decide the whole. What the heck happened there? I just lost one of my picks.
Did I do that?
Oh, there
Yeah,
it is.
I
Okay,
fixed it.
yeah, okay, it's back. Okay.
All right. All right. So
Cornelius and Anthony isn't off the board, right? There's still a
the
gent
gent is
somewhere.
still
Jens
the
is still
gent.
on. I was actually going back and forth with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. God, it's between 3 for me. I don't know if this cigar will be there later with you guys having 4 picks ahead of me now. Son of a bitch. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go the Avo South American Ritmo.
Ooh,
Nice.
that's a nice one.
Now, Coop, you weren't actually. You said it's a nice one, but you weren't actually. You weren't the biggest fan of this particular blend. You like Avlos. It's not to say you don't like Avo, but this
I
one
like
specifically
probably of the
wasn't one of your favorites.
three. Yeah, probably of the three, the Synchro, the Fogata, and the Ritmo. The Ritmo's probably my least favorite of the three. But because I think the Fogata was not sexy, but it was a really good cigar.
I loved Fogata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fogata was
still-
just kind of it's not a sexy pick, but it's a good cigar. But Ritmo's not bad. Something has to be at the bottom of the three, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
True.
All right, Tripp, you got two.
All
Wait,
right.
you have two. Oh no, you picked.
He doesn't get to.
He
Yeah, I
gets the
never
middle,
get
right?
two.
I'm
Poor
sorry,
guy.
you get the middle. Yeah, that's right.
I am gonna go. Man, it's getting tough now.
Sure is.
I'll go the Gent and HVC first selection broadly.
God damn it! I knew it.
Oh,
Ah, those were two. Those were two. Those were the. So it was those three. that
yeah,
was
I knew
debating
I
between.
wasn't gonna get the Gent and
Ah,
and the
nice pick on
Broadleaf.
the HVC,
Yeah,
man. That's
they're good
sexy.
ones. Really good picks. Yeah.
God damn.
Oh,
it.
he's got a
Yeah.
strong friggin' roster too.
God, he's gonna crush.
Yeah, I
us,
got
Coop.
this, man.
You got it in
Yeah,
the
I know
bag.
he's got two
I've
Dumbartons on it.
I've never done a draft before. But fucking crushes us.
I'm
we
a
go.
ringer. What can I
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that makes it easy for me. I'm gonna go Crux Epicure.
Damn, you suck. That was my next one.
Now this is interesting. So I know you're doing a strategy here, Coop, because you're doing it for the people.
Right.
But I think this was on. Look, this was in my top 10. This was your second number 2 cigar of the year, and it fell this far. I'm really surprised.
Because I thought I can get it later.
Yeah.
That was it's nothing to
Not
do.
this late.
Well,
Right.
again, I didn't think the Cornelius and Anthony's were getting past the 6th round. That was kind of where I was going with that.
Nice. Okay.
All right. Makes it tougher. All right, this is gonna be a surprise pick, but it is my favorite cigar from this company. I'm going Protocol Official
You are gonna-
Misconduct.
I knew that. Yeah.
That is to this day my favorite cigar of Protocols. It was competitive. You know, there was a lot. You know, most of the Protocols I've had they've landed on the list 3 times or 4 times. I think 4 times. Most of the time they've been in the like 21 to 25 area.
I think that's a really hot take on Protocol because you've said that before, and I know you were really high on this cigar,
Yeah.
and like to me, like the Themis is just absolutely the best cigar that Hector
I agree.
ever did for those guys. But the red and
the
the
Themis
blue
made it. The
are-
Themis made a list. The Themis did
Oh,
make
I
a
know.
list.
Oh, I know you like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. The official misconduct wasn't a miss for me, but it just was like when you have those 3 bangers like in a row, and then the 4th one comes out, it's like
Right.
unless it just like to me, if it just kind of blows you away,
Yeah.
it's almost like to me it was on the 4th on the list. But you disagreed with that.
Yeah.
So what's number 2 on Protocol for you then? Is it the Themis or is it something else?
It is the blue.
It's the blue.
It's
That
the
makes
blue.
sense.
Yeah. And then probably the 3rd is the Elliot Ness Maduro.
Yeah,
I really like the Elliot Ness. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Probable Cause wasn't really in my wheelhouse. Not a bad cigar.
Oh, I just meant at the time. This is in 2018 or whatever.
Yeah.
So like you have just the 4 to deal with, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, Elliot Ness is a great blend for them. I like Cybercrimes. I really enjoy that cigar.
It aged well, Cyber Crimes. If it's a good aging cigar.
All right, you got one more, right?
Yeah, this is tough.
Chip, what about you on Protocol while Coop is thinking about this?
Themis is my number 1. I was just in awe of that cigar the first time I smoked it. One of my favorite Connecticut's ever. I really liked the official misconduct. I really liked the original blue.
The Lancero was really good in the blue.
Oh, the blue and the red Lanceros are both fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, like retrospectively? Let's take again, this is 2018. At the time, and then Cornelius and Anthony leaves the portfolio, right? Like
Mhm.
Espinosa, this was like at the time, this was like the Espinosa. Like we had no idea about Guy Fieri, right? That's not even a blip on the radar at this point. You think
Yeah.
like, man, Espinosa's like flying high. Like they're doing cigars for other people. They're just rock starring it out with their stuff. You know, this is the Laranja is still is still like the crown jewel, and they're just kicking ass and taking names. And then like the Cornelius and Anthony leaves, and then and you feel like they kind of like maybe like took a step backwards or anything, and then of course the whole knuckle sandwich thing happens in the last few years, and it's like, wow, that was nowhere near their apex. It's
They
Yeah.
so it was so
this year was
interesting
a down.
historically.
It was a down year probably for the Espinosa brand because Seis Provincias was limited, but I think
And it
they
didn't get a
skipped.
lot of hype kind of from the market at
Yeah,
first.
the Warheads kind of were a little bit dovetailing a bit. Right, and it didn't get a lot of hype. Trip is really a good point, and I think this was the year that Cornelius and Anthony and Protocol really shined, and then the Oscuro comes out the year
Mhm.
after, and I think that's when they started going back up because Oscuro got #1 from one of the print publications.
Yeah, Snob, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
Espinosa's never had like I would say a down year. Like man, like they really
no,
like
they didn't have a down year, but in terms,
they've never fallen off the ledge. Like it's never been a fall off the cliff kind of thing. But I think like after this, like 2019, 2020, you're thinking like, what's the next move kind of thing? Like, what are we gonna see? Like we know something's coming,
yeah,
and then no one saw the Guy Fieri thing coming, and
Yeah.
and that it's such sustained success, which has just been incredible for them.
and then Warhead really resurged like around
Mhm.
after 6. It took back off. Warhead started really taking off after 6. I
Nine
noticed.
nine was fantastic. I know you love the 10 too. The 10 was really good. Nine for me was just fucking lights out. Like holy shit, I loved it in
Yeah,
that tool.
yeah. And funny thing is, the Gordo was my least favorite of the Warheads, and that's
Ironically,
funny.
there's yeah.
Ironically, and the Lancero was my favorite. That's a weird for me.
Well, you bag on the Lanceros, but then the first one on your podium is revealed today, Coop. And
Well,
Mhm.
it's the
again, when
it's
there's a good Lancero, it will make it. I just don't go gaga. Oh, Lancero's coming at. That's where I just say, wait a minute. It's no different than having a Corona Gold. Every size is gonna have its own bell of the ball. That's my point.
yeah, fair enough. All right, Coop. What's your
I have
next
another.
pick? Hmm.
Oof. All right. I'm gonna just do it. Take another one from you, man. I'm taking the HVC
Fair enough.
Cerro Maduro.
Coop Trip kind of broke my heart already with the selection brought up there taking that before.
I was
So
thinking, man, he's not as upset about that one.
No, I mean
I
I
was
have a
pretty
couple of
pissed.
mine I've left off if you've noticed, but again, it's strategy I'm doing.
All right, here we go. I'm up next. All right. There's one cigar I don't want to end up with, and it's gonna fucking happen. I just know it. God bless.
Oh, wait, which one is it so we can stick you with it?
I know which one it is.
I'm gonna reveal it here at the end. Um, because I have some very strong feelings. Um,
I know it's
I'm
what
going.
it's not.
I'm going dark horse on this. God dang it! It's just this one's not for the people. This one's just for me. Um, the La Gloria Cubana.
I almost took that one. I just thought it might be
Yeah, I'm gonna lose this
you
so
know,
fucking bad, guys. Like it's not even funny. Like,
I think
oh
it's a good
man.
set.
Oh, I've got good cigars, man. I'm just,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to Steve Saka this and say how horrible I am, but man, I just Trips just got a fucking stellar list, and yours is
I know
strong.
he's yeah,
Straight up luck. That's what I'm going with. It's my turn again, huh?
you got
I've
two.
been just staring at the list, trying to figure out what I want to do.
That's how this goes. What we talked a little bit about this project Trip while you're thinking about it a little bit more. I'm just gonna vet a little bit, but vamp a little bit here. But the La Gloria Cubana Coop, you were obviously really high on this made your top 10, that
Yeah.
year. Um, This was a year that you the three of us, and I've since had some STG cigars and some Altadis cigars that appear on my list, but you were the
Right.
only one with two of the. In fact, if you want to throw in Davidoff, you had three of the big four
Yeah.
in your top 10. And this cigar, I think, when you look at like STG as a whole, like, and you probably even from like releases of that year, this was probably like fourth or fifth rung on their releases. But this was such a stellar cigar, and the project itself had such a good story. Why do you think no more people didn't get behind it?
Because I don't think they knew about Ernesto's connection with it.
Okay.
I don't think they. Not to say that STG didn't do a good job with that. But typically what we see with STG is they come out with a limited release and then they move on to the next flavor of the month.
Hmm.
That's the problem. And why I'll tell you why I didn't pick it, because I don't think people will remember that's an Ernesto cigar. They'll look at the brand name, oh, La Gloria, and La Gloria unfortunately just had a few misses lately. So I think it was going to work against it. But it was a great cigar by them. Remember they did the Reunited beforehand?
Yeah.
They couldn't use the name
Oh yeah.
because Garofalo had the name. So I think they worked out something where they could sell out the inventory of the Reunited, and then they came out with this one under But this was a better cigar than the Reunited, though.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Much better.
Like leaps
And
leaps and bounds. So
yeah,
All right, I've made up my mind.
go
I'm
ahead, Trip.
going with Casa Cuevas Habano
that's a
and
good one.
M Bombay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh shit.
All right. Is that 10 for Trip?
Let me see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9?
1, 2,
I'm
3,
miscounting.
4, 5, 6. He's got 9.
Is it 9?
Yeah, because he'll snake at the end. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's got one more
Yeah, I'll
pick.
get the final pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my ninth pick. Uh, it's down to. All right, I'm gonna see if there's any. One, there's only one brand left that's still around. Is that what we're seeing?
Uh,
Pretty
so
much.
We have Villiga left. Vega
Debonair.
Fina,
Oh,
Debonair,
Vegafina.
and
Southern
Cedrus.
Draw and Mombacho.
Bacho, yeah.
Okay.
So I think technically there's 2 brands left that are still around, but really only one.
Yeah. Well, Vega Fina's around, but the cigar is not.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Villiger's
Uh,
almost around.
I will go with. I'll go with Southern Draw, Cedrus.
I was gonna, that was the one I would have went with. Yeah, I can't complain. I went and waited this long, so
Casa
yeah,
Cuevas was my pick. Trip took it.
yeah. Casa, I was,
I waited. I waited too.
I almost took
I
Casa
waited too
Cuevas with
long.
the.
I waited too long. Sorry, Lewis. Sorry, I waited
It's a
too
good
long on
cigar. It's
anybody.
a good cigar to Casa Cuevas. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm up.
So you're up.
All right. I'm gonna go Mombacho Conseca.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Jackass.
You had a shot at it. You took
I
Cedrus.
know. Sorry.
Uh, and I have another one, right? Um, so it's what's left is there's
Villiger,
3 left.
Vegafina. Yeah, Vegafina, Debonair.
That Vega Fino was so good. It's a shame if I leave it for you guys. I'm gonna go with it. It was an epic cigar. That cigar. I mean, it's just not a sexy name, but to leave it off is sinful if I went with one of the other. Nothing against the other two, but
All right. I'm gonna take Debonair Daybreak.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
Good cigar.
So
We
it
got,
leaves me with the Villiger.
we got the
Yeah.
Villiger.
All right.
And there we go.
I'll actually take that
Yes.
Villiger.
I didn't.
It's a
That's
good
the one you
cigar.
really didn't want?
That's the one I really do. Guys, I do not know. And this was on the consensus list. Coop, you had it on your list. I I am so disappointed that this cigar made the pool.
Wow.
I like that cigar. I
It
love
is
that cigar.
absolute trash. It is
It's
garbage.
Hoya. It's a
I
Hoya.
completely disagree.
It
I
is
completely disagree. It was a Hoya
garbage.
cigar. Listen to me. This was when Villiger was starting to make all this headway um on lists, and they had La Floridian, and they came out La Vencedora, and Gabriel was doing the marketing. Then they came out those Brazilian blends that they were getting on a lot of lists, and then Gabriel leaves and the marketing just basically went kaput.
Yep.
The Brazilians were good. The Dio, like the Black Forest was really good.
The Black
I
Forest
liked
is another one, yeah.
the Florida
That's
Incline was fantastic. Like I loved all those. This was the one that I like. Coop, whatever
this,
you're saying, all those things are true. This blend completely missed my palate. Like
yeah, I loved it. It was Hoya.
I tried to enjoy it and I just couldn't.
I
I
would have
probably
picked it.
smoked like 7 or 8 of these and I'm like, this sucks.
Look,
It
all
just
Wow.
three of them
sucks.
were ironically all three of those were from my list, right? So I had to
Yeah.
go with the highest one on that one.
Yeah.
Um, the Daybreak, which I thought was of the three Debonair blends, the Daybreak was my least favorite. The Maduro was my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
Phil
Me
made the
too.
greatest.
I think they were all fantastic
That
cigars.
eight when he did that 33rd degree, the A size is one of the best cigars I've had.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I miss Phil. I mean, I want to see Phil. I would love to see this brand resurrect because it's a good
Me
brand,
too.
Devin.
Well, he sold the blends and everything, right? To the ZZ Top
He
guy.
doesn't own right. He doesn't even own Debonair anymore. He's Indian now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so sad because that I mean talking like that I mean Phil was the for a while was like the talk of the town, man. And with
Look,
this, like his comeback story was epic. It was great, and the blends were just absolutely outstanding. I loved all
I'm,
3 of these cigars, like
I'm
all
gonna
3
say
of them.
something. Look, Phil was our first sponsor. Going back to Stogie Geeks and Cigar Coop, he was the first sponsor. Had I not had that first sponsor, we wouldn't have had anything else. Phil's a big part of what was built on Cigar Coop, and
Absolutely.
that will never change. We had a long relationship. We still have a relationship with Phil. He's not a sponsor anymore, but he was a long sponsor with Coop for about, I want to say almost 7 years. So, you know, I thank him because we would not have, like I said, he made it possible for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really great partnership with him. Just a great, I
Good,
mean,
good.
and a
They had really good
fabulous
cigar.
fan. Really
Yeah.
good cigars. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Habano Bellicosa was still one of my
Oh
favorite.
my goodness, the Habano Bellicoso was great. Yeah.
God, I love that cigar.
That was the
Still
bell of the
ages
ball.
still ages really
Yeah.
well too. I still have some. Um, the Daybreak, yeah, my least favorite for sure. But 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 I mean that's because I think that's honestly like if he had started with the Daybreak and then come out with the Habano Maduro later, like I think it would have been a completely different story. I think the Daybreak would be held in much higher regard because it's a really good cigar, but comparing it to those two, it just doesn't hold a candle.
He had a
Like,
fourth blend that was a stealth blend though, so it never really got released. The Brazil. He had a Brazil, and
mhm.
it got released during that whole FDA thing as a stealth cigar. But
Oh
from
wow.
what,
I never knew
but
about that.
yeah, but from what I understand, it was a prototype. I guess is the best way to put it. And it never happened. They never went forward with it. But yeah, he had a Brazil because De Los Reyes, where he makes the cigars, they have Brazilian tobacco, and they use it on this the Saga number 7.
Yeah, number 7.
Yeah.
God, that's such a great smoke.
What they used to. They actually had to change the wrapper on it. I don't think they were able to
Yeah.
get it anymore. Yeah.
So that is the redraft, gentlemen. That is the redraft. So
How happy are we with our picks?
I'm okay with it. I can live with my picks.
I
I,
knew that
I, I
being the second pick, I was gonna keep Ciaz him.
taking JRE was like a risk, but I wasn't gonna get it. You grabbed it. I mean, I thought I had a shot at JRE.
I'm pretty happy with mine.
Yeah. You should be.
Yeah. What
Yours is absolutely stellar. I
was
think
there a
that
surprise early pick of something?
no, I don't think so.
I looked at this. Maybe the one I would say that surprised me, Bear, but it's a really good cigar. Is Ramon Ayonis.
That's the one I was gonna say too.
But it's a really good. It was my number 4 cigar.
Yeah. I thought that might be a little bit of a reach at that point, but I knew it wasn't going to last
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
wasn't going to
Yeah.
keep it. So I knew I had a shot at Encore, which I got in the following round. So I went that route, that 1-2. I'm surprised that I gambled way too much on this, but I think the steal of the draft has to go to Tripp with getting the first selection broadly before he did. Like that's insane. That's an insane
Yeah. I
spot.
I'll disclose the cigars were secondary. The brands are what I looked at here because if we're gonna put this up to a vote, which we are. People tend, and I remember Fred Rui told me this once. People vote for their brand loyal more than cigar loyal.
That's
So
definitely true.
yeah, and it's just I remember him in an interview I did with him years ago, and it stuck with me when I went through this. Bear, when we did the aficionado list, it was different because there wasn't as much brand loyalty with those cigars. These have a look at some of these brands on here. There's a lot of brand loyalty with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm counting on my Tatawahe friends to bring me out. I don't think there's any way that I'm not third place.
But never,
I just
Bear, remember
Never
when
count
we did,
yourself out.
so when we did the aficionado list trip, Bear destroyed me with the draft. I lost, but it wasn't by the margin you would think. I mean, when you looked at our list, you're like, Bear's going to win this 4-1, right? And it was a little closer than I thought.
yeah.
It was actually I was within striking distance for a while.
Yeah, and we did the other one that we put to a vote too was the what did we call it, Coop, where we were stealing entities and stuff?
We did that was the whole war room.
The war
Which we're
room.
gonna resurrect. We're gonna revise the war room. Like we had some ideas. That concept we have to tweak it, but I think everyone said we should do another war room, and I got some suggestions, and I think we incorporate some of the other members of the coalition when we do it. But yeah, the war room was kind of like we drafted cigars and then we swapped them out kind of
Yeah.
in trades.
I think what this model proves, Coop, and I know we're live on the air here talking about this, but I think what this proves is that a redraft of any kind or a draft, it works well when you have at least another person.
Yeah,
'Cause
I agree. I said we definitely need another person for it next time.
So here's our top 10, guys. It's here on your screen, and if you guys are listening to our podcast, I'll go sequentially here. So Tripp had the first pick, and it snaked after that. But so with the first pick, he took the JRE Aladino Corojo Reserva, which was the only cigar that was on all 3 lists, breaking Coop and Mai's heart right off the bat. Then he goes back to back with Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, getting Sober Mesa and Todos Los Dias. Brings in selected tobaccos Byron 21 for his next pick. Aganor Salif signature selection. Cornelius and Anthony the Gent. 8 to me, the steal of the draft is the HVC first selection broadleaf. Casa Cuevas Habano, Umbambe, Tobacco M. Cuba, their Ecuadorian Puro, and then last, and apparently I'm just off on this, but I'm so glad that I didn't end up with a cigar. But Villicura La Vencedora, so is the last one on Tripp's list. So I was the number 2 pick in the draft. I never had back-to-back picks, so I went with the Hoya de Nicaragua Cinco de Cádiz, which was Tripp's number 1 cigar of the year that year in 2018. It was Coop's number 11. The number 2 pick was Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Mi Querida. Number 3 was Ramon Ayonis by AJ Fernandez. 4, EP Carrillo Encore. 5, Tatuaje 15th Anniversary Claro. 6, Avo South American Ritmo. 7, Crux Epicure. 8, La Gloria Cubana Colección Reserva. 9, Southern Draw Cedrus. And my 10th and final pick was the Debonair Daybreak. Coop, in all the joy and splendor that this caused me, this is my win for the night. Coop, for his number 1 cigar of 2018, picked Dunbar Tobacco and Trust, Sin Compromiso. all four. Again, this was the company that dominated the pool of 30 cigars.
We knew that was going to happen though.
Yeah, four Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust on the pool of 30. All four off the board in their top four picks. Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Sin Compromiso is number 1 for Coop. Number 2 was Espinosa Las Provincias LHB. Number 3, Crowned Heads La Creme. 4, Hoy de Nicaragua Silver. 5, Davidoff Chef's Edition. That's a great steal right there too, Coop. I think you got a great pick there. Cornelius and Anthony Venganza after that. It's probably the first one that probably grazed some eyebrows. Protocol Official Misconduct after that. HVC Sierra Maduro was his number 7 pick. His number 8, Mombacho Cosecha 2013. And his 10th and final pick was one of his highest cigars that year, which was the Vega Fina Anahado 7 Años. Guys, we did the redraft of the 2018 picks. Good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
So, Coop, you want to talk about how we're going to publish this?
Yeah, so we're going to publish this list on Cigar Coop with a contest. The prize, until I don't want to announce a contest without a prize. We will have a prize. So it will either be tied in with our Altadis contest, or if it's not, it will probably be tied in with something from Newman. Because I have some Newman stuff that we can do. So it will be one of the two. But I always like to look for a twist with the Altadis stuff when we do the Altadis but we're still kind of arranging the 2025 campaign with that. So I'll give it a week. If not, if I don't have it worked out by a week, then I'll put the Newman thing out there. I will donate the prize bear. And I think it's going to be a very nice ashtray, by the way. So it'll be something nice. I promise it will be something nice with it. And if we get a certain number of picks, the prize pool goes up, is how it works.
Oh.
So the more votes, I never tell people they have to share for a contest, but if you share it and we get more votes, I throw something else in. We just did that with the Newman Christmas ornament. I gave away the Christmas ornament, and then I said if we get to a threshold, I threw in 5 diamond crowns with it. So there'll be something like that I'll do, but we have to get more votes. I'm not going to give the farm away if people aren't voting. So, but we had good turnouts we've had good turnouts the last quarter since I started doing that. So that will probably, today is the 13th. It will probably be next week before that contest will be posted I want to get through what we have to do.
Okay.
Take photos and stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll get that published on Cigar Coop. The contest and rules will always be available on cigar-coop.com.
Yeah.
You check it out. Pick one of our lists. That's all you have to do. Nothing else required. But if you do share it, Coop usually throws in a wild card item, which is always pretty cool too.
Yeah, and it's it'll be very easy when you enter the Don't enter the contest now, okay? Because if you enter it now, your vote's not going to count. It's got to be on the website. Don't put it on the web. Don't put it on there till I announce the contest. Because sometimes people put it on the announcement page. That's not it. There will be a contest page. You have to put it on the contest page. I make it it's easy. All you got to do is say who you vote for. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and we'll share it on all of our pages too when that comes up. But we'll go ahead and recap this at the very end. We still got a couple more segments to go through, guys. I finished through my La Carême. Just put down my Cinco de Gatas.
I just lit up the Corojo Reserva. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this Rocky
in
Patel
the middle of a
label.
Cinco de Gatas.
Nice. I'm gonna open up my Rocky Patel Gold label here, and we're gonna kick off our last few segments of the evening. So this is going to start with our Everybody Eats segment, which is brought to you by Postani Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Postani Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Postania, everybody eats. So guys, we've been talking about lists, so I thought this would be fun. So I don't want to make it too complicated because I don't want to draw it out too long. But we all we've all had some amazing meals together, whether this is a PCA or other cigar events and everything like that. So I wanted you to pick not your top 3 meals, but the top 3 places that you've eaten that are in conjunction with the cigar event. So,
okay.
So the top 3 places that you've eaten and had a meal in conjunction with a cigar event. It could be, again, PCA. It could be Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest. It can be the Chattanooga Tweed Up. It can be anything that you want. Again, it's open ended. So
Does it count if we had a PCA dinner?
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go first, just so you guys. Again, I'm putting you all on the spot. I didn't tell you guys about
Yeah,
this ahead of
I
time.
know what I already know my three. Yeah.
So my three are the top three places that I'd eat, and this is really hard because I thought the dinner that we had over at Encore that year, Coop, that steak dinner with the
Oh,
Wagyu and
and
everything with Luciano was fantastic.
that
So
that yeah, we didn't get any we didn't get the surf and turf that night, but we
yeah,
didn't need to.
it was fantastic.
Yep.
But that my top three though are Jinya. I love our tradition post PCA. It always hits the spot. It's fantastic. Some of the best ramen that I've ever eaten. It is a chain, so I mean, there's Jinyas all around the country. You can get them. You can get it anywhere. But anytime you have a chance to go into this restaurant, it's fantastic. And it's just one of those things that I really enjoy. And I'm going to miss it this year since we're going to be doing PCA in New
There may
Orleans.
be a
But
ginger in New Orleans, by the way. I have to look that up. I want to look that up.
sure.
I think maybe yeah.
But just in case
We
we start a new tradition this year, I wanted to wax a little reminiscent about that. So and enjoy that nostalgia. So that's on my list. The next one is Yardbird, another tradition for us in Vegas. I absolutely love it. Some of the best meals we've had just sometimes just as a team. We went there with Brad Rubin. We've been there with the JC Newman folks. Um, the only thing that's bad on that menu is the smoked ribs. It just tastes really weird, but everything else is absolutely incredible. Love it. Um, love that menu. Love the just the environment, the ambiance, and the company's always been good too. And then last for me was a new experience for me, but a lot of people have gone to it over the years, but it was still just as incredible as advertised. And we had such a incredible experience last year, courtesy of our friend Anfan. But Bazaar Meats was just absolutely an incredible experience. If you ever have the chance to enjoy it, these are all Vegas locations for me, obviously, but
yeah.
those three spots, the best food, great company, and for me, those are always going to be the spots
Yeah.
to hit. And if we ever go back to Vegas for PCA, I know that we're gonna, if not all three, we're gonna hit up at least one of those each time. So it's good for me.
Ginger's not in New Orleans, so we will be finding. There's one in Baton Rouge. It's too far, so we will be having a new meal this year. It looks like. So we'll find something.
All right, Coop, you said you had your three picked.
Okay. So my first one, and I haven't had a chance to do this with Tripp, but I did have a chance to do this with you. It's got to be Saga. The best restaurant on the
Oh,
planet. The Tomahawk
yeah.
Steaks at Saga. I've had a chance to go to Saga 3 other times since then. And you just cannot beat the Saga experience. It is owned by the Reyes family. I'm sorry, I've been there 4 other times because I had a lunch there as well. Um, Best restaurant on the planet. Just a fantastic menu, highlighted by those tomahawks, those mushrooms that come out. It is abs. If you go to the Dominican Republic, you must go to Saga, and you can smoke there. So that is on the list for sure. Um, we have an overlap. It is Bazaar Meats. That was just the same one. I've been there twice. I've been there with Raphael Nodell.
Oh
Oh, and I've been there
man.
with Joe Grow. I've been there 3 times. I've been there with Joe Grow as well. So
Damn.
I've been there 3 times. But I think that one where we had the whole team there is the one that really is setting out for me as well because of the fact we had the whole team there that night was special. And the third one was also with the whole team, and it was more special for me because I got to introduce you guys to some cuisine that I really have grown up with, and it was the trip to Ben's Deli in Boca Raton after the Great
Ooh,
Smoke.
yeah, that was good.
So I'm not, and the food is really good there. It's really good kosher deli, and I know people say maybe something's better now, but that experience introducing you guys to some of those dishes was really it resonates, and it was a special night for a special. Yeah, it was early evening dinner we had. Tripp's dad was there too. It was cool. So yeah, that was those are the three.
That was a different year, right? Or was that
Yeah,
the same year?
I
I
didn't.
can't
No, it
remember.
was the same year.
I
It
didn't.
was the same
I
year.
didn't. I didn't eat with Tripp's dad.
Okay.
Oh no,
So
we're right. It wasn't with Tripp's dad. You're right. It wasn't with
last
Tripp.
year it was me, you, and my dad. The year before
That's
it was
right.
all of us without my dad.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about but it was all of us. Yeah, we went back there.
And
That's
I
right.
wasn't part of the team yet.
No, you were kind of you were not part
Yeah.
of the team yet.
Yeah.
So
I was just a guy with
I
cool
was-
friends.
I was. Yeah. I was working on it. Yeah. It was a work in
yeah,
progress.
he was working on it. So it was an easy
Behind the scenes, building my PowerPoint
Yeah.
presentation.
yeah, exactly.
So awesome, man. Yeah, those are great spots. Ben's Deli was such a that trip was.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna get into it, but that trip was God was that meal was much needed. Tripping there was so great. I was
Oh,
not in a good place personally at that time, and
Oh,
man,
well-
but that meal, dude, was so fucking good, and the company was awesome. And then Bo, was with us too. Zaritsky, Bo
Yeah.
Zaritsky was there. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Bo was there. I miss Bo, by the way. He moved back up north.
yeah, great picks, Coop. I love it. What about you, Trip?
Two of mine are definitely overlap. Bizarre Meats last year with Anfan and all you guys
Yep.
was one of the best meals I've ever eaten in my life. And I've eaten a lot of pretty good meals.
That
Yeah. Another one is definitely Saga. I have been there 3 times, and I agree with Coop's assessment. It's arguably the best restaurant in the world.
Yep.
You can get a giant tomahawk, you can drink fancy rum, fancy wine, smoke cigars, have some live music playing. That restaurant has everything.
And the music's not
food-
too loud. Let's just put that out there. Like, it was
Yes,
great.
and they
Right
don't
on.
blast the
They
music.
don't blast it.
They have
And-
live music, but you can still talk.
And Fufi, Augusto Reyes, is just one of the nicest men in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes by to every guest to make sure everything's okay. And he's a wonderful guy. And I remember Saga was closed for a while during the pandemic, and it was sad. I was worried it wouldn't reopen, but they did. And they came back better than ever.
It's fantastic.
I'm trying to think of another one that sits somewhere special in my heart. You know what? There's another one that I really, really enjoyed, and it was somebody who I barely even knew, but I somehow got invited. Was M. Bombay. Mel Shaw invited us to an Indian restaurant that he had
I had a conflict that night.
researched and found what he thought was going to be the best Indian restaurant in Vegas. And he took just a handful of bloggers there. And like I said, I didn't know him well. I was with John McTavish that year.
Yeah.
And he was the one who kind of got the invite. And I tagged along, got to know Mel really well. And the food was incredible. I love Indian food. So that
I have
one
been
was
with Indian
special to
restaurants
me.
with Mel, though. Not in Vegas, but I have. And he does pick out the best Indian restaurants by
Mhm.
far. Costa Rica, he found one in Costa Rica, which was amazing when I went down to Costa
That's
Rica.
awesome.
Yeah, you talked about that one. I remember, Coop.
Yeah, it was real. We went there twice. It was so good. And you mentioned Luciano too. I don't want to forget Luciano. That was an incredible dinner that night.
That was an
And
incredible meal.
yeah.
The wine Ben and
Yeah,
I
we
dined
were-
on Camus wine. It was insane.
And he was very generous that night.
Wow.
I got to say that. He
incredibly
was-
generous.
Some people took advantage of that, unfortunately. But yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that meal really stands out for me. I think that the food was incredible. Don't want to
Yeah.
discount it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this segment. But the company that year that made that meal really, really special. That was a really,
Yeah.
really special meal.
I'm sorry to Mel, but I might have to swap out my last one because I just remembered the dinner at Club Macanudo.
Oh my goodness, Trip! That I was on that one with
Oh
you.
my God! Yes, you
Oh
were.
my, and Victoria. Yeah, that's a. Yeah.
We've talked about that one before. I think at some point I talked about it on this show, but that might have been on my show. It was 15, 20 people
yeah.
from different blogging groups, and I know Delicio was there.
Yeah. The old
Ben,
Stogie guys were there. Some of the old Stogie guys were there.
Yeah.
Ben.
McTavish. I don't even remember who else.
I'll
There were a
never
bunch
forget.
of people there. Oh, the Blind Man's Puff guys, I
Yeah.
think were there. But Victoria took us out to Club Macanudo, and John and I like immediately start geeking out on the whiskey menu.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Just order whatever you want." And John's like, "No, that's like there's crazy whiskey on here. Like you must not get whiskey." And
Yeah.
she's like, "No, seriously, order whatever you want, and I will have one with you." And we were like, "Okay." So John went crazy ordering scotch, and it was incredible.
Another honorable mention. I know I'm not me doing the honor. Look, Justin and Chris Torres taking us out to some good dinners too.
Oh,
yeah.
very true.
For the chow, and really they have been generous with that as well. So I want
to again. I think that the other thing too about that, and that's the kind of getting away from just the general place. Like, I love Fogo de Chao and I love Texas de Brazil. Like I love those types of restaurants and stuff. Like, but those meals to me, like again, it's about the company. Like I think
that's what that was more about. Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed the first time that we went. I thoroughly enjoyed just. I always enjoy Chris Tarr, but that was my first time meeting him, and that was such a really eye-opening experience for me and introduced to him as a person.
Oh
and
yeah,
I really enjoyed that. And then last year when we went again, Chris and Justin were amazing. I had the privilege of sitting next to Matt Booth, which was just that's always great.
you
That's
were
always
epic at that.
great.
You were epic at that dinner, by the way.
I was
Because
hungry, man.
So we all eat, but Bear has this like resurgence, like he got this hunger thing. He just was like piling on the food in the like we're all done, and Bear is like just continuing to
sure,
pile
yeah.
He was going for it.
Yeah, we were like, holy cow, where's he putting this? Like, yeah.
He was getting STG's money worth. Man.
Well, I was also what's also kind of brought me late to it was like I was for some reason I think I went to the restroom or something or took a phone call.
You had to take a phone call,
Or
unfortunately.
something,
I
yeah.
remember what that phone call was. That was
late.
part of that. Good point. Yeah.
I was late to the salad bar line, for the first course, and everyone was on to meat by the time I sat down with my salad. But Chris noted, he's like, "Bear, your plate looks immaculate," because I plate my food, and we got into talking about. I'm like, this is my shtick. This is what I do. Like I do it at home. Like I don't do a lot of family style dinners at home. I plate meals. I plate them for my kids even, so that like the presentation is always on key. Yeah, I nerd out like that. Sorry, you guys think that I'm weird, but I plate grilled cheese, guys. Like I make it look fucking outstanding. So
I do the same thing, man. So don't feel bad. Like I'll cut the grilled cheese in half and like do a little.
You gotta do the
do a
stack
little
with
fold over.
You guys got to have the
with
lobster grilled cheese, man. Lobster grilled cheese is next level.
Oof. I've done I've never done lobster grilled cheese. I have done crab. I have done crab grilled cheese, and it's fucking outstanding.
Hell yeah.
Those dinners we had with Chris Tarr, for all the crap we give STG, and we give them crap, we were able to tell Chris a lot of this crap, and he listened to. I really felt he was listening to us.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff he would explain and defend, and other things he said we blew it. I mean, he was very honest on that, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, what was also great about Chris is I thought was, and I completely believe him. I took it at face value, but I also believed him to be 100% genuine when he said this. He's like, I love it when you guys trash our cigars, because that gives me ammo to go back and say, you guys got to do better.
I mean, we talked about the CAO disaster with the firewalker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the other one that he was very interested in remember the first Weller cigar they came out with? They missed with that.
Yeah.
And he knew they missed with it. And he heard a lot of the input, and they were already working on, because they weren't using the Weller barrels on that first. They just branded it like that. It was kind of crazy. And when we were telling him, he said, yeah, we're fixing this. This is coming out later this year. So, yeah.
I loved the Buffalo Trace cigars. I thought Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah.
But the second one was better.
Terrible.
The second one was better, I thought.
The second
I
one was absolutely.
The first one.
Yeah,
because the second one they did the aging in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was
second one was stellar. The first one
really
I just thought was good. Like I just thought.
Yeah, the second one was much better. Yeah.
Second one was stellar. Like I smoked it, I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, holy shit!" Like they need to do more of that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that was our Postania Everybody Eats segment. I know we kind of digressed a bit. So
that was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get to our next segment, which is brought to you by Artista Cigars, which is truly the last hidden gem of the Dominican Republic. With nearly 70 years of rolling experience, the family behind Artista believes in honoring their long-held traditions of handmade artistry. Artista's blends include factory-exclusive front marks and tobaccos for every budget. In fact, Artista Cigars has one of the most varied portfolios on the market. There's something for everybody at Artista. Now, if you're like me and you can never decide on what you want to smoke, Artista Cigars is perfect for you because it's a breath of fresh air. Because I can literally take something from any box that Artista has to offer, and I know I'm getting something really special. So this is our this or that segment, guys. And since we've been looking back to the past, thought it would be a good opportunity for us to look at the past, but also look at our present.
Right.
So this is our this or that segment. So when it comes to cigars overall, okay, cigars overall, 2018 or 2024?
2018. Yeah, 2018.
I think I'm in the same boat because cigars are currently very, very good, like overall. I think they were kind of on a higher note in 2018.
And we had a lot of excitement that year. Again, the Drew Estate stuff, while it didn't hit the market, it was exciting what they were doing with those Connecticut releases. The fact that I can go on Tripp's list and your list and really grab a lot of great cigars just really emphasize that. 2024 had some good releases, very good releases. I'm really happy with the top of my list this year, to say the least. But there were when I looked at other lists, it wasn't like I was being able to pull a lot, off of them. Your list was solid. By the way, Bear, your list was great this year, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This is probably my favorite list overall that I've done. Now, history will be the judge of it.
Strong list you had.
Yeah, but I think this is my most fun list that I think like overall, I'm like I really feel good about every pick. Like I think these are like knock on wood, I think these cigars are going to be in the market for a really long time. My fans and audience will hopefully enjoy them for years to come. And I think that looking back at 2018, like those were the cigars I smoked. I mean, they won for the reasons that they were supposed to. But I look back and I'm like, man, this year was. I had some good cigars. Don't get me wrong, but this year I felt like it was a lot better.
Pete was shocked with your number one. We talked about it on the show, so he was shocked. I mean, in a positive way. But I know he really loves that blend, and I had that on my list last year. He loves that Verico Blue blend, so I know it made him very happy.
I was very happy with that cigar too. I absolutely love that cigar.
Made my
that
top
would
10
be
last
on my list if I did a list this year.
Yeah,
it's a great cigar.
It's wonderful. It is. Could you mention like how I didn't really talk about it. I was just trying to keep stuff close to the vest because usually you can pick mine pretty good. So,
but I know you like. I knew you liked it. I just didn't see it coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just as I smoked it more and more and aged within the time frame and stuff like that, like the cigar ages well, like it even smokes really good. Again, and I've said that about Pete's stuff is I tend to not smoke his stuff off. I've learned my lesson from years ago. Just like I don't smoke his stuff off the truck.
Yep, let it sit 6 months. It's always better.
Yeah. That RL22 was a great example of that made my list this year. It sat and it got better. The what was it? The T110 Reserva was another one.
Yeah.
That really climbed up. Yeah.
The Roxy, the Latelier Roxy's really aged well too. I don't know
those Maduros. Yeah.
It's outstanding. Those are outstanding. Yeah. So, all right. So next one. So Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust was featured a lot on today's discussion. Why? Because they had 4 cigars in our 30 of our pool of 30. So thought we'd look back at this. So Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust cigars, 2018 or 2024?
2018.
The overall portfolio as it stands.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tripp?
I'll go 2024. I think only because of the Tricky Traca.
See, I guess I was basing on what came out that year.
Yeah.
So Bear, maybe is it for the year?
Yeah, the portfolio overall.
Oh, all right.
No,
I'm gonna go
Okay.
it's not
2024
really.
because
Yeah,
he's
it's
really
not really
rounded
a
out the
Jared.
portfolio. I'll go 2024 then in that case.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's not really fair in a certain essence
Right.
because he's obviously had considerable number of releases. You think about the Umbagog Broads back. You think about the Red Meat Lovers Clubs. You think about of course, the oh God, what's the pipe tobacco thing? Shit.
The
Stillwell.
still and by the way, that
Stillwell.
Connecticut
God
Stillwell was
bless.
great. That 23 and 20, that Connecticut blend is great. That's the best Stillwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those are that really rounds out the portfolio. For me, um, other than Sober Mesa, the next standout blend for me is the Sober Mesa Brule Blue. I love that. I love that cigar.
You know, reason why I answered 18 originally, right? Because Todos Los Dias was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
that's why I was like, when I was thinking about if I time box it to a year, but the overall portfolio, he's grown that really nicely. I think some of the more sort of Sakas have rounded things out. So yeah, that's why I went 24. When we look at it, yeah,
Okay, so
there's something for everybody in that portfolio.
this next one I will curb to the releases during those years.
Okay.
JRE 2018 releases or 2024 releases.
18.
24. Despite the fact that this came out and it was the best cigar, what he did with Fumanoche and Cameron Reserva is groundbreaking with those two cigars.
I think Fumanoche is outstanding. That
Yeah,
cigar is
it missed
incredible.
the deadline for my list, but it's an outstanding cigar. And the Cameron Reserva is groundbreaking. That's aging very well. So yeah, I'm going 24. But
Eligible for next
I
year
mean, it's
too,
hard for
or
me to vote
no?
against 18 because this was so good. But yeah, but I think there was a little more depth this year.
Are they eligible for next year?
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Try to look back at your own personal judgment of cigars and the way that you smoked and what you particularly enjoyed. And obviously, your lists say a lot about that. So let's talk about from a palate perspective. Would you take your 2018 palate or your 2024 palate?
Oh. I guess I'll take my palate now, just because I feel like my palate has grown. I enjoy a bigger selection, a wider range of flavors now than I did back then.
What's changed the most, Trip, about
I
your palate?
think on the lighter side. Um, I enjoy nuance more than I used to. 2018, I think, was kind of when I was starting to learn a little bit more about nuance because I had gone through a period, like many people did at the time, of wanting strength and power from my cigars.
Yeah.
And I was kind of relearning to appreciate lighter bodied, more medium bodied, more nuanced cigars.
Coop?
Um, 24 because and not necessarily that I was appreciating lighter nuance, but I think what happened is I learned a lot more with my palate. And one cigar that I think between 18 and 24 that I really got into that I talk about is Epernay, which I was not an Epernay guy, and then ECCJ comes out, and I started revisiting things like Epernay, and I really started enjoying them. So I just think I learned more, and because of that, I was able to appreciate a lot more.
Yeah, I think like Trip, I think I've definitely grown to enjoy more lighter bodied cigars over time. I comment on this all the time. Connecticut Shade seems to make a much more popular and much more big influence on my list in recent past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just more nuanced cigars. For instance, my number one cigar this year, the Verico Blue, is very, very much. It's a very complex, deep cigar.
Yes.
I would argue that the Encore is also the same way, despite it being a Puro. But if I look at my list, besides that, like if you take a look at just from a list perspective, again, not necessarily what I also enjoyed at the time, because there are cigars I enjoy I was still, still smoking pretty heavy. But if you look at it, I mean, I have Corojo Reserva, Cerro Maduro, La Carem, um, Venganza, which was this very spicy cigar, Habana, which was a very spicy cigar. Like these were heavier, more. I was much more into that kind of that spice phase a little bit, where complexity and nuance necessarily wasn't part of my palate as much. I had one Connecticut shade on my list as opposed to like four this year. So, um, really made a huge difference. So,
Yeah. The other
um,
thing I'll add in, Bear, with that, with me, back in 18, I think I was still in the chase mode, and I'm not in chase mode anymore. Now I'm about more of getting behind a regular production line and seeing how I can grow with that line and grow my palate and get behind it and see how it evolves. So I think that's the big difference too.
yeah, definitely. Okay. All right, last one, guys, on this for this segment. Here we go. Um, we're gonna go down to. Let's see, where is my? All right, lists as a whole. Some lists have come and gone during this time. So if you look back at the collection of lists, not just ours, the collection of lists that existed in 2018 versus the collection of lists that exist in 2024. So a couple of examples. How about that cigar, smoke and tobacco? Those were not around. Now they are.
Right.
Things like that. So those two, um, those two among many others, but those are two that just off the top of my head. Cigar Federation was around, obviously, very strong. We talked about how good Tripp's list was at the time. Unfortunately, no longer exists, but fortunate for us, actually. I shouldn't say unfortunate. It's fortunate for us. Tripp's part of our team now.
I still exist.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
We
much
gotta get him
so.
to do a list. We gotta get him to do a list. Yeah. He
So
does a good list.
as a collection of lists, would you take the 2018 collection of lists or the 2024 collection of lists?
I have an easy answer on that one. It's 2018. There has been there has been a shift with lists in the last few years, and you've probably seen a lot of the discussion on it. And there are lists today that are coming out, and they're on different mediums, and I don't get it. I don't get it. So I guess I could just leave it at that. It seems like it got diluted. Now, the list you mentioned, like how about that cigar smoking about? They had good. Smoking about had a good list this year, I thought. But that's not. There are other lists that have just been like, and I just see it's. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I think it was an easy answer for me. 2018.
Trip?
I'm still trying to decide. Uh, I guess I'm with Coop. I see a lot more lists now than I remember seeing then that are like, what even is that cigar? Like, why would that even go on a list? I feel more perplexed these days than I did in 2018. Also, I had more influence back then, so that was nice.
You have a lot of influence now, Trip.
You have
I
a
think
lot of
that
influence.
yeah, I think 2018 for me too. You know, there's it could you said a lot of the points that I was gonna say, but Trip to you also said it too. There's like a couple of like lists where I'm just like there's cigars that pop on. I'm just a lot of cigars, and I find this is where I find it really perplexing. There are a lot of there are a lot of lists that are getting published now. Um, some people that I respect, and hold in a pretty high regard, that where they pick something, and I'm just like, I'm pretty in tune into the cigar industry, so the fact that like people can still pick things that I have never even heard of
Mm-hmm.
is mind blowing to me. Like it just like I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back or anything like that, and I'm not trying to put those people down, but I mean, it's a feat that they've picked stuff that I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm
Yeah.
not saying the cigar's bad, but I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Like, who makes that? You know, what is
Yeah.
that brand? Like, what was
So
that? Like, what made your list? So,
let me, yeah, let me kind of talk about Federation for a second and talk about what they did. because I think Federation changed the game a lot with lists, and I'm not just saying because Tripp's on, but this goes back even before Tripp. They kind of what they did well is they were kind of they really went into the boutique phase, right? But it wasn't at the expense of some of the tried and true brands.
Mhm.
I remember Rob Rasmussen, for example, was all over the CLE CBT one year. Like, but then I can go and find a cigar, that they had, maybe one of the old House of Emilio blends, that, I'd look at the list and I'd try it and they were really good cigars. So, but what happened in 2024 is a lot of these guys have gone too far boutique at the expense of some of the other tried and true brands.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's missing on a lot of us. Well, Federation did they always had solid lists with that, and it was a good balance that they did. It was kind of something I looked at and said, I need to kind of, what I'm smoking, it kind of changed my way a little of thinking with it.
Well, this was this was Tripp's entire list. We've talked about his top 10, but this was really great. Cigar Federation's top 25. Hoya Silver, the
Great cigar.
T,
Great cigar. I would have made my
Drew
list.
Drew Estate Liga Privada T52 Corona Viva,
Great cigar.
Protocol Probable Cause,
Yep. I'm one of my favorite pop. Good cigar, yeah.
JSK Toothpick, McAuliffe Migdalia, Saga Short Tails Tomo 6, Roma Craft 2018, Illusione One Off, Iroa First 20 Years, La Barba
It's already good for
yeah.
Ricochet,
me.
La Volcada
Hmm.
from La Flor Dominicana, uh, Tatuaje Nuvitas Esteli Robusto, Avo
Oh, I love that
Impressions
cigar.
30 Years, and then of course Todos Los Dias was 11, and then we've talked about his top 10. Like
So
that's a fucking strong list. Like holy
So
shit,
look at
man.
look at one pick in particular, McAuliffe, Migdalia, 2018. McAuliffe wasn't on my
They
radar.
were not on most people's radar.
They weren't on the
No.
radar, and these guys, and turned out Migdalia was. I know that's a cigar. After I saw it on the list, I tried for the first time, and it was one of their legacy brands, and it's really good. So I mean, that's what I'm meaning. What how good they did a good job with that.
Yeah. So some really good finds in there for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And um so I think
yeah,
2018
yeah,
was just
yeah.
just stronger. So
It was,
all
yeah.
all right. Well guys, last two segments tonight and then we'll call it a night. This one of course is brought to you by our good friends at Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than a physical place. Sometimes it's a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. Light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So I want you guys to think about your number one cigars from that year. Coop, the JRE Aladino Corojo
Yeah.
Reserva, Trip, the Hoya, Nicaragua, Cinco de Cádiz, Dimas. Now, I think Trip, you talked about your first experience with it, but I want you guys to explore what was the time and where were you when you lit up your number one cigar of the year and you just knew it was going to be the cigar to remember for that year? Where were you? What were you doing? What was the moment all about?
I got it. I had this cigar PC at IPCBR back then, and I knew this was going to be at the top of the list in top two or three. It was, but what validated it is when I got back from the show. And sometimes you have something as you show, you get what I call happy ears or happy taste, and but it lived up to it. But I was at Husto's booth that year, and it was amazing. I don't know, did you have that at the show, Bear, or did he just give it to me?
He just gave it to you.
I think he just gave it to me,
Yeah.
because he didn't have a lot of those. And I'm like, this cigar.
He gave me something else, but he gave
Yes,
it to you, and you were like, "Man, this is really." I was like, "Cool."
yeah, yeah. It
Can't wait
was.
to smoke
So I had it right. Yeah, I had it on the floor at his booth.
it.
And it was, like I said, it was amazing.
Trip.
If I
Cinco de
remember
Cádiz.
correctly from mine, I don't think I smoked it at the show at all.
We got it, but
Um,
we didn't smoke. Like, I don't think I smoked mine at the show either. No, I
well,
did.
I
I did smoke that at the show.
I know that in the booth I was smoking the H99 the whole time until Fabian stole it in that little acid room
Yeah.
and threw it away.
What did he take from Bear? He took
Undercrown.
Underground.
The Dogma. Yeah, my
The
favorite.
Dogma, yeah.
My favorite
Yeah.
Underground.
For me, it was the H99, like minutes after they announced it. um. So yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I smoked it in my garage at like, my old Cigar Federation studio, which was in my garage. Uh, I think that's where I smoked it for the first time, but I do remember the first time I smoked that Perfecto being like, wow, I have to make the rest of the guys smoke this and find out what they think. Um, because it was just incredible.
For me, I knew the Encore was really special when I first time I lit it up. But the first time I smoked the Valientes, I was actually doing an event with Jose. And, you guys know me. I'm like normally don't gravitate towards bellicosos and torpedoes and stuff. And so I'd smoked the Celestial was kind of my bag. For the whole time, and I knew that cigar was just really special. I really enjoyed it. But when I smoked the Valientes for the first time, I was like, holy shit, I've been missing a whole new dynamic with this particular cigar. And it was at an event with Jose, and we were talking about it. He's like, hey, what do you think? And I was like, I like this one. He's like, no. And he specifically asked, he said, what about that Vitola? And I don't think he really knew my proclivity towards not liking that particular Vitola or not at the time, but it was just it was a really eye-opening experience. And what what that preempted, unfortunately for me, is while I don't particularly like those Vitolas across blends, it really prompted me to try them and more than I ever have before, and that's what led to the Vengeance Double Perfecto winning the following year for me. And cigars like the Lasagna Connecticut Bellicoso and the Suma Torpedo making my top 10 list this year. Was trying Vitolas that I normally am like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and and what's resulted is just really enjoying a Vitola that I normally don't like, which is really great. So, all right. Last question of the evening, guys. Here we go. As always, the last uh where did it go? Last segment of the evening is always brought to you by our good friend Steve Saka, the Dunbar Tobacco and Trust Curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs? Doesn't matter since the company's inception. Steve Saka's been knocking around the park 9 on the road to 10 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. So, here's my curveball question. Think we all are in agreement, at least I think we are, that Steve makes it 10 years in a row. A preliminary question, which really isn't a curveball, is what cigar is the 10th year for him? But does Steve make it 11 years in a row?
It's hard to say. Um, I think with the whatever he's calling the Sober Mesa Red, I think he has a good chance because I think that could be his best cigar to date. We'll see, but I think it has the potential. Because, like I said before, I still think Sober Mesa, the original, is still the best cigar he's made.
Yeah.
Or at least it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite too. What cigar makes it this year?
Bronze back. If the Joe Grow data is accurate.
Yeah, I think Bronzeback has a maybe not an easy win, but pretty good chance.
So, what I've kind of been able to dissect from Steve and his War and Pieces that he's been putting out on social media, Tripp's right on the money. The Solita Red's going to be a monster. but it sounds like he's got a 10th anniversary cigar coming out this year.
Hmm.
So, because he started it's the 11th year, but he started in 2015. So he is going to make it next year as well. There is no doubt. Even if he doesn't come out with that 10th anniversary one in time, the Red will make it. I actually thought Red might make it this year because I thought he might ship it out to the media. Yeah, so yeah, I was serious about it, but and Red's coming out. The only thing that Red may be coming out too early in the year, and that's what I'm wondering. But it's sounding like he's got a lot more planned for this year's trade show.
Bronzeback came back in March.
That's what I'm saying. Bronzeback came back and it was very early release. Yeah, so yeah, he's gonna make it next year for sure.
Yeah. Have you guys smoked the Blank Angus?
Yeah.
No,
Holy fuck, guys.
you got it. You went and got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I ordered it. So yeah,
Um,
it's a fucking monster.
It's that good?
I thought it was that fucking good.
Wow.
It's limited, unfortunately, and it's going to be limited production given the fact. I think it's like, I think Jeff might have even sold out of it, now. So I'm not even sure if you guys would be able to get it, but
It is not sold out yet.
yeah, okay.
maybe I'll get a couple
I
of
bought
singles.
three. I bought three. I bought three. I smoked two. They were lights out. I have one left. Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable cigar and unbelievable use of FSG. Steve fucking hit a home run with that. Holy shit. It's so
I
good.
want to smoke it. It was just a lower priority, unfortunately. Not anything against it. It's just I'm kind of there was
I
some
know,
more
I
nat.
know you. Well, I know you're curbing back on store exclusives, even for someone
But
like
I want to
that.
smoke this. I want to smoke this. It's not like I don't and I would ignore it. It was just prioritized a little differently. There was a lot of stuff that came out at the end of last year that was very costly. I'll put it like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, that's it. That's the 2018 redraft. Coop, you put it up one more time. I'll go through it real quick, and we'll
Yeah,
call
I
it a
will do
night.
it. Let me do that. So
So once again, I want to thank Coop and Tripp for joining me on this. A little bit of a last minute push. Had a last minute rearranging of a schedule that had to happen, and we were able to squeeze these guys in on the last minute show, which was really great.
this is great. I'd love to do this again. Like I said, I think whether we do it on LOS or whatever shows we do it on, it's fun. I think it's a great. Like I said, we've been able to
Well,
expand it a bit now.
well, I think we have done what we've accomplished, Coop. We've accomplished two things. One, I've achieved victory finally. You picked Sin Compromiso as your number one cigar of 2018. That's one.
No, I didn't pick it as number one. I
Uh,
drafted it because I think I can win. You didn't.
it's a facto. I win. It's cool. But the second, Coop, and I think you'll agree with this one, is we have successfully roped in Tripp to come back to the game of Cigar List because clearly the man has a gift.
These guys are
I
great
guess
list.
so.
You do a
Yeah.
great list.
Do great
Yeah.
lists, and he's great at
Thank you.
drafting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And by the way, I got to say one thing. Tripp probably doesn't even notice. He did a show earlier tonight, and he's like basically 2 days away from the 1 year anniversary of Let's Get Pairing, which aired on the 14th.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much they've done a full year of shows these days. So congrats to that.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yep.
great job. So,
Yeah, you guys both and Dennis too. We gotta give Dennis a lot of credit as well.
1000%.
He's done great. Yeah.
1000%.
Yep.
So here was our redrafted top 10s of 2018. We took Cigar Federation's top 10s, cigars, Coop's top 10. They both have bigger lists. The Cigar Federation was the top 25. Coop's list, of course, was the top 30. I only do a top 10, so we took my top 10 cigars as well. And this is how the order redrafted. Tripp took the JRE Aladino Corojo Reserva number 1, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust for his number 2 and 3 picks. He did Sobremesa and then Todos Los Dias. His number 4 pick was a Selected Tobacco Byron 21. Aganor Salif Signature Selection was followed up. Cornelius and Anthony the Gent. HVC First Selection Broadleaf was followed that. Casa Cuevas Habano was number 8. His number 9 selection was Bombay Tobacco in Cuba. And his 10th and final pick was the Villiger.
Well, he got that one. He got that one by default.
Got that one by default. So I was the second round. I was his number 2 pick. These were randomly selected prior to the show. And if I had had my way, I would have had the number one or number 3, but I didn't get it, so that's fine. I had the Hoya de Nicaragua Cinco de Cadas. Number 2 is Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Mi Querida. 3 Ramona Yones by AJ Fernandez. 4 EP Korea Encore. 5 Tatuaje 15th Anniversary Claro. Avo South American Ritmo followed that. The Crux Epicure. Number 6. Number 7 was La Gloria Cabana Colección Reserva. Number 8 Southern Draw Cedrus. And my 10th and final pick was the Debonair Daybreak. Coop was the 3rd pick in the draft, and you got the draft back-to-back to conclude the first round and start the second round, and so on. His first pick, to my joy, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sin Compromiso, Espinosa Las Seis Provincias, LHB. His 3rd pick was the Crown Heads La Creme. 4th was Hoya de Nicaragua Silver. 5th was Davidoff Chef's Edition 2018. 6th, Cornelius and Anthony Venganza. Protocol Official Misconduct followed that. HV Sierra Maduro at number 7. His number 9 pick was the Monbacho Concession 2013, and his 10th and final pick was a cigar that was very high on his list that year, was the Vega Fina Anahado 7 Años. We'll be publishing this later on cigar-coop.com in conjunction with the contest, so stay tuned for details on that. Let's Get Pairing, Cigar Coop, and ELOSOFUMAR will feature that link in subsequent posts when that is finalized and available to you. We'll have a great prize for you, and Coop's been known to throw a wild card prize in if it gets shared and more votes come in. So the more you share with your friends and get them to vote, just a very simple vote, then the more that gets involved in the prize pack for you all. So Stay tuned for details on that. But that was our 2018 redraft, guys. I hope everyone had as much fun as we did doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. You can always check us out later on our YouTube channel, ELOSOFUMAR, which is brought to you by Foundation Cigar Company, or if you're listening to us later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, including iHeartRadio. Our audio broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Gran Habano Cigars. As always, I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. This is our 317th take. He's Will Cooper. He's Tripp Waldrop. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.